Welcome back to the Love Boat Project, episode 15. Tonight, very special episode. We are talking about season 1, episodes 15 and 16. That's right. It's a two-parter. And if it's a two-parter, that means we need to have two guests,
of course,
two captains. Let's start with the lovely lady of the crew, all the way from downstairs in my house, Michelle Potter. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Hi. I go by one name, just Michelle. Everybody else my full name. Michelle. I am just Michelle.
Oh.
Yeah, it's probably best.
Like Cher.
Exactly.
Try to preserve some anonymity. I don't blame you.
Iconic.
And the last true Philadelphian himself, joining us all the way from South Philadelphia, Dan Thompson.
That's me. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to your program.
Yep. And hi, Mike. Sorry, I'm so used to seeing you all the time. So, yeah,
we're always here. It's fine.
So we normally ask if you, the guest has been on a cruise before, but I am pretty confident that neither of you have. So what I wanted to start with was, as we do have two different guests, Dan.
I was on a small cruise in the Bahamas when I was 18 years old.
Oh,
that's solid.
There you go. Look at that.
Congratulations.
How about me trying
how
to
old?
assume?
How old?
How old? I was a senior I was 17 going on 18. I was a senior in high school. And we went on a number of short cruises around the islands in the Bahamas. Most of them were booze related.
That's what that was my next question.
And most of them were not luxurious. Let's put it that way.
Did you spend the night in the boat, or is it just a cruise around the islands to drink?
It was a cruise around the islands to drink. The one was a literal booze cruise, and then the other one was a very nice cruise that took us to like a sort of isolated island where we could do whatever we wanted, which, at the time was drink, basically. But it was sort of like out of the prying eyes of the government and tourists. So you took a boat, a very nice boat, and then went to this little private, semi-private island. And you could get jet skis and stuff like that, or just sit there and drink. And that's what we did. And then sun went down, hopped back on, and they took us back to the Crystal Palace where we were staying.
So how much of
not
your
exactly
cruise,
sorry?
How much of your cruise experience did you see in the 2-hour episode of Love Boat that we are talking about today?
Zero.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
But I mean, for the I was on a cruise, right? I mean, that was the question I was
more than any of us.
Does that count?
Well,
yeah.
Does that count?
I know a few of us. I know at least two of us in here. Fair enough. Let's move on.
Sorry,
Michelle, my dear. You as the youngest of this set, what was your Love Boat knowledge and experience, let's say before your husband started watching these at the behest of the guy in the corner?
Nada. I think when the idea of this podcast was first proposed was the first time I had heard the words love and boat uttered in the same sentence consecutively. I mean, I'm sure I had name recognition. I had heard of it. I couldn't have told you if it was a drama, a comedy. Spoiler alert, I don't know who any of these guest stars are.
Yeah.
I'm along for the ride.
Spoiler alert, everything you just said broke my heart in between.
Yeah, the age difference, while it doesn't feel like that much, when you watch a show like this, it really does feel like that much.
Yeah.
So Dan, I mean, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, no, please. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say, same question. I mean, I feel like you had a excellent knowledge of the Love Boat growing up, as we all did.
I'm pretty sure I watched this episode before. I was familiar with. I feel some of these co-stars had been on either previous or later shows. They just looked familiar. The plots, kind of not recycled, but let's say familiar again. And most
intricate
of it,
intricate. A maze.
And most of the guest stars, I was oddly familiar with. There's a Philadelphia connection too, which we can get to later, since I'm the last true Philadelphian. I was opposite from your lovely wife there, I was just like, oh yeah, I know these people. This is great. So yeah,
But
It's
the
why
old
we
friend.
work together.
right. But also, as we've talked about this before, is that your husband and I were raised by television. So this is a little different. I used to watch these when I had nothing to do. I would watch The Love Boat and things like that. So when I was a kid, a
Yeah.
latchkey kid, and I had no friends.
Weren't we all? I feel like
Yeah.
Latchkey Kid was just kind of just the way it was. It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
It was normal.
It was great because it was dangerous fun. There was always a lot of danger. So
Like I remember coming home being like HR Puff and stuff, and it would lead to all these really familiar shows that
yeah,
kind of like
I
this. I mean, they're
remember-
45 years old. It's crazy.
yeah. I mean, I watched all these shows for hours after school. I mean, hours just until I guess my parents came home, and then we watched shows that are now on reruns. Or no, that's 30 some odd years ago. Oh God, that was a long time ago. But yeah, no, sorry, very familiar with them. Love them. Love the Love Boat. Love the song. Felt very nostalgic sitting listening to the song. I loved it. Loved it.
And this is a big deal episode. Not only is it the first two-parter, but it is the first
Wow.
appearance of the Porthole introductions. They are not throughout the whole run of the season that we've seen so far, and weirdly, they don't appear the rest of the season. The first time
Mm-mm.
they show up on a regular episode is the first episode of season 2. So we've been waiting for these. And
It's a big
so
moment.
yeah, because there's just so many people that you either know by name and not by face, or vice versa. So the portholes really help. And in this episode, I would say pretty boring porthole turns. People were
Oh.
still feeling it out. The only person who seemed to do anything was Larry Storch. He kind of
Larry
went for a bit.
He was
Yeah.
going for an Emmy. Like he was given 100%. I have a couple questions that we'll get to later, but
I do
no,
as well.
I thought he was given 100% effort in this episode. I appreciated that. Like
I
he
thought
was,
he was- yeah,
he was
I thought
great.
he was a
I
lot
was
better than I
number-
expected Larry
yeah.
Storch to be. Yeah,
I have a number of
Um,
SRQs, Storts related queries.
excellent. Well, we'll carve out some time for
Having
Larry
fun.
Storch. Michelle, quick question: do you have any clue who Larry Storch is, even in this
I
episode?
just, I'm nothing if not prepared. I just looked at the cheat sheet that I put together before the show, and he was Elwood Riggs,
Mhm.
who
Sure.
I think I put as the other guy in the gang.
Ox?
because-
Not the
Was
guy who
Ox
isn't
kind of
Ox.
the one that was like a little
John
like,
Chuck?
Ox was a little off.
yeah. And then he wasn't the leader, so I kind of had him as like the other guy. I don't know.
You nailed
That's
it.
where I'm at
You
with
got
Larry
there.
Storch.
He's great.
The leader
Um,
was noted character actor Harold
Harold
Gould.
Gould. So this
Yeah.
episode, which, like I said, two-parter, which means we get 4 storylines. We usually get 3. This time we get 4. So we
Whoa.
had Eyes of Love, Masquerade, Hollywood Royalty, and The Caper. And Michael, did you see who wrote The Caper?
I did see who wrote The Caper. It's one of our favorites, isn't it?
Our guys. Yeah.
Yes, it
Art
is.
Barr, Art
Art Barr,
Bear,
I
and,
saw that.
and Ben Jolson. Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Art Bear, right?
Yeah,
Art
not
Bear,
Art
like you
Barr,
said.
not the
we're-
wrestler. No.
I don't know if you've heard other episodes, but this is a particular writer that Mike and I are a fan of.
What's,
Just
I'm
put-
So I
sorry,
felt like
what's
we
his
were
name
in good
again?
hands with. I felt like we were in good hands with the caper.
Yeah, me
We will
too.
get into the caper itself and decide if it was a good caper.
Yeah.
But
Wh-
Before we
who-
get
I'm
in-
sorry, who are the writers? Because I will write that down.
Ben
I too have a
Jolson
cheat sheet.
and Art Bear.
Oh, not familiar with either. And I can't find
So,
my pen.
summary of this baby: a gang of thieves board the ship with the intention of stealing a ginormous diamond necklace owned by a fellow passenger and famous movie star. A blind woman reconnects with a former blind friend. The two fall rapidly in love. A lawyer's wife learns that her new cruise friend is actually her husband's mistress. So, a lot of moving parts in this one. So this thing originally aired as a two-parter on January 21st, 1978. As we said, it's the first 2-hour episode, and it's also first time we've had a returning guest star.
That's right.
Michelle
A quick
Lee.
turnaround.
Who was the
too.
returning-
Quick turnaround.
Quick
Yeah,
turnaround.
like less than 10 episodes.
That's
so.
weird.
Was it Desi Arnaz Jr.?
No, this was Desi. This was Desi's first one. So before we get into the credits, Mike, did you happen to look what was on against our fair love boat this week?
I did not. I did not.
So couple things because it is 2 hours, so we
Yes.
have a little extra ground to cover. So NBC, in their typical movie of the week, Standing Tall, starring Robert Forster and Chuck Connors.
Ooh, I like Chuck Connors.
Chuck Connors.
Maybe
That's a
Yeah.
man right
the
there.
rifleman.
Yeah.
ABC,
that's a real man.
of course.
Michelle, do you know about Chuck Connors?
You know
I'm only
Chuck
kidding, of course you
Connors?
know.
Did you grow up with any
He had
Chuck
a- he had a
Connors?
back
big-
for this
he had-
part. You guys take it from
Yeah.
here.
Connors had a window in his career. You know.
Oh,
Go ahead.
he's going to
Sorry.
end up on this. He'll end up on this
Oh,
boat.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kojak was on at 10 on CBS, so he seems to have taken over the Carl Burnett spot. Weird transition. But before that, we got a double shot of the Jeffersons and the Tony Randall Show.
Ooh.
Oh.
Let me ask you.
And-
So, did this start at? Was it 8 to 10 or was it 9 to 11?
9 to 11. That's too
Mm.
sultry for 8 to 10.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I
it's-
was
Come on,
wondering.
man. It's risque. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want eyes on the, just wondering. Okay.
All right,
Tony Randall had a kid at 76.
good for him.
Yeah, I remember he was on the Howard Stern show with his bride.
Yeah.
All right.
Not
The
Brady,
cast The
Stern.
cast list today, as Michelle pointed out, is extremely long. This is probably our longest cast list, which does make sense because it's our longest episode. But let's work backwards. Michelle, was there anybody that you actually knew at all in the cast?
So
From
of
anything?
course I knew Desi Arnaz Jr. or thought I did. I knew the name. I know Little Ricky. I'm not that far removed. However, I did misidentify the character.
Yeah.
I'm sure you
Michelle
can
thought that
imagine.
Desi Arnaz was Fernando Lamas. so,
Yeah.
And I was like, why did he have an
I
accent?
mean,
He was raised in LA.
like,
Also-
well, he's Argentinian,
when he the first thing he says, he sounds like Ricky Ricardo.
He sounds exactly like Ricky Ricardo. Like it sounded
that's
like I thought it
purposeful.
was a put on. I really did. I
That
thought
guy
it was,
that guy talks like we talk. There's no reason for him to sound. He's not from Cuba. He's from California, not Los Angeles.
Well,
He is from
you know-
California. Get out of here. Your mom has red hair. Stop it. You don't talk like that. What are you, Ted Hanks? All of a
Well, so
sudden,
that was the
get outta
journey
here.
I went on, but that wasn't him. That wasn't Desi Arnaz. Like it
Oh.
blew
Yeah.
my mind when I found out that he was Steve.
Yeah. Do you, Mike? Are you gonna go through all? Because I have so many facts.
We
I
can
have some
go-
facts. I have some
We can
facts.
go wherever you want. Why don't you guys just pick out some cast members you want to talk
let's-
about, and we'll
Well,
just do it
let's
that
talk
way.
about Desi. Since we're on Desi, do you have a Desi fact?
I have two. He, in
Okay.
fact, was not the kid on the Lucy Arnaz show. That was an actor.
Correct. That's correct.
And second of all, he was in a band with Dean Martin's son, and Dean Martin's son died in the Air National Guard.
Wow.
I
Anyway,
knew the first part. I knew the part about the band and Dean
I
Martin.
actually,
yeah,
I
it was
have.
called Desi, Dean, and like Joe. And Joe is just some dude from the neighborhood. I can't remember the third guy, but it was
Joe's
Desi.
like that guy on Star Trek that goes with the captain on the
Yeah.
on the new planet. He's not coming back.
He-
that's the
Poor
one
Joe.
Yeah,
the-
poor Joe.
whoever the third guy was did get some fame as the touring keyboard member for the Beach Boys. That's all I remember about him. I looked this up.
John
I didn't have
Stamos?
this knowledge.
No, he was
no,
the
no.
drummer.
John Stamos was just the hunk
Just kidding.
of the Beach Boys. Are you insane?
He's
He
the
wasn't
second
playing-
percussionist.
He was playing sexy congos. That's all.
yeah.
That's all Stamos
Fun,
was doing.
Fun
Feel
fact
the
about
rhythm of the
Desi,
steel drum band, Mike.
Desi Arnaz Jr. Fun fact: he appeared on the cover of the very first issue of TV
Tiger
Guide
Beat.
with
I was
the
going to say Tiger
headline.
Beat.
As a baby, as
with
a
the headline
infant.
Lucy's $50 million baby.
Ah,
$50
interesting.
million, baby?
I guess
Yeah.
because she was making so
Yeah.
much cash because she had this
Wow.
Desi
They were
Lou
making
production.
$50 million in the 50s? That's insane.
Well, here's the
She-
other weird thing. So that's
Good.
Desi Arnaz Jr., right?
Mhm.
They had a daughter, and they named the daughter Lucy, but changed the spelling. So Lucy and Desi have kids named Lucy and Desi. There's something weird about that. Like to
Sounds
me, the
confusing.
second one, I was like, "That's a little odd."
Yeah.
Like you can go all one letter. We've seen that. Like
Mhm.
the Duckets. I used to live across the street from the Duckets, and there was Rhonda Duckett and Ricky Duckett.
Wow, shout
These
out.
people
shout
aren't
out
They
to
real.
went by
Ducky.
These
Chucky
people are not
Duckett. It
real.
was crazy.
Rhonda Duckett does
Rhonda
not
Duckett,
exist.
Donna Duckett,
No.
Don Duckett, David
Nope.
Duckett.
Figure down.
Dean
All
Rhonda
right,
Wayne
let's,
Duckett.
all right,
All
let's move this along. Adrienne Barbeau, who plays Kathy, who is the mistress. Any Adrienne Barbeau notes from anybody?
No. I got
No.
nothing.
You know what's
Um,
funny? I said this to
There
Michelle.
was a show
like, that
on Adult
name-
Swim. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. There was a show on Adult Swim. Mike Taylor probably recalls this. C Lab. Do you remember that
Mm.
show, Mike?
Mhm.
The only reason I'm bringing this up because they had one episode that featured an Adrian Barbeau bot. So there you go. I thought that was
Very
hysterical.
So fun fact. Harold Gould, as Dan
Noted.
mentioned, great character actor
Vernon.
in one of my all-time favorite movies that Michelle has still not seen, The Sting.
What's that?
Yeah.
The
That's a great
Sting.
movie. It's a great
You know,
movie.
he is
Sting.
absolutely great in that, which gave me hope for the caper.
Right.
But it just shows you're only as good as the talent you surround yourself with.
True.
Fernando Lamos, we kind of already talked about. He is Renegade's father. He
Reno
has an
Reigns.
amazing.
And Vince
What?
Black. Sorry, Reno Reigns and Vince Black.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think
didn't
they're
know
the
you were
same
into the
guy.
whole syndicated catalog.
Yeah,
The
Wait, he's also the inspiration for the greatest man in the world or whatever, right? Oh, were you going to say that? I apologize.
No, I was going to go the other way that I wasn't sure about. Is he the inspiration for the Billy Crystal Fernando character?
Same.
that's good. That's a
That's what I
good
thought.
one.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Fernando and the most interesting man in the world and
Yep.
personal friend of Obama. So there you go.
Still
I
alive,
learned a
right?
lot today already.
I think
Wait,
he's dead.
Fernando Lamos died in 1982.
Yeah, how's he friend with Obama?
No. The most interesting man in the world is a personal friend of
the
Obama.
Dos Equis guy.
Oh, I was like,
Sorry.
how did
Apologize.
weird
Yeah,
company.
no, he died in January 21st, 1978, like 2 years after this episode.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he was 67 years old. I have a
You
cheat
think he
sheet
was
too.
deep
Oh,
sea
he
diving for
lived,
that
though.
brooch?
He was that guy lived. You know what I mean? There's no he didn't leave anything on the field. Like, come on. Look at his
As we
skin.
alluded, Michelle Lee is the first of many, I'm sure, to return. She was in episode 5, playing
Yeah.
a meek and mild housewife who was convinced that her husband was going to kill her.
That's right.
So I
aboard
think this.
the ship.
Wait,
yeah.
wasn't that our favorite episode?
Yes, it is.
That's
yes.
our favorite episode.
Yeah,
That's
Michelle
right.
Lee's great. Michelle,
Because you
but
have not
here's
seen the other episode that's to come after this. That will be your favorite
Yeah,
episode.
we'll
But
get
As
to
far as I know,
that.
there's
That
only
later.
15 episodes in the series so far. I don't know.
The,
We'll see what happens.
the question I had about the returning guest stars was, would they make them different enough so you didn't feel like, oh, this is just, and they
yeah.
did.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
just two completely different characters. Never even felt
Totally
like I was
fine with
watching the same thing. Great job.
Okay.
Uh,
We're gonna Dan
Juliet.
Rowan.
Hold on, we skipped Juliet Mills,
There's a few here.
Oh, right.
who is Barbara, who is the wife of Alan Danver, who is Dan Rowan. Dan Rowan, obviously from Rowan Martin's Laugh-In, absolutely one of my favorite people. Just he wasn't even acting in this thing. This was just him doing
No,
Dan
it was
Rowan.
his life. It was his
Yeah.
life.
It was great.
I-
They even
I
let
found
him
out-
have the little pipe that he smokes. Like, it was just fantastic.
I
but
was
Ju-
not,
Did you notice his?
I was not familiar with Dan Rowan. Like I'm
Really?
peripherally aware of Rowan Martin's Laugh-In.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So I looked this guy up because I didn't know who he was. And
Great guy.
there was some things about this guy aside from the Ronan. That's not the most amazing thing about the guy. He was orphaned at age 11. He graduated high school. He hitchhiked to Los Angeles and found a job in the mailroom at Paramount Pictures. A year later, he became Paramount's youngest staff writer. But that's not all. During World War II, he served as a fighter pilot. His military decorations included the Distinguished Flying Cross with Oak Leaf Cluster, the Air Medal, and the Purple Heart. Like, he shot
Yeah.
down enemy aircraft over the Pacific. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that. I just liked him because he had a
whoa.
cool, dry wit.
I didn't like his mustache. I got to be
Those
honest
guys
with
are
you.
cut
That was a
from
little
different
weird.
cloth.
But I just was keep reading. I'm like, you got to be no, and then
That's
just another
wild.
thing and
This
another
is
thing.
fundamentally. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this episode with all of this in mind because of the character that he was playing, I really had little to no use for this man. So now I just
Yeah.
feel like it's a whole new, because I don't know this character that he's playing or not or whatever. So I'm just kind of underwhelmed by it. But apparently I should just be overwhelmed by feelings of
He's a war hero,
positivity
Michelle. He's allowed
and
to have
patriotism.
multiple women.
You should be, every time he gets on screen, you need to salute.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
His beleaguered wife, the designer Barbara, is played by Juliet Mills, who, as we're watching the episode, I'm like, I don't know who she is. But you know what? She sounds like Haley Mills from The Parent Trap.
That's just,
It turns out she's the
No.
sister of Haley Mills.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
also a slight correction. She's not a designer. She's a fabric designer. There you go.
Oh. Oh.
Got
That's
designer
how they
in the
met.
name.
That's
The
how they
devil
met,
is
man.
in the
Yeah.
details,
It is.
sir.
Yeah.
Dan
And
Rowan.
and in the ascot.
Yeah.
Dan Rowan
Sorry.
has a type, and it is very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody
Fabric
designy,
designers.
fabricy.
He likes women that work in fabric because
He doesn't
you
like rough
see his
hands. That's
wardrobe?
why.
did you see his wardrobe during this episode? I mean, I
Yeah,
was
he wore
looking. I was trying
robe
to
at the
find.
pool. He
That
wore
bucket
robe.
hat was pretty great.
And a
then
bucket
He
hat.
had that
Yeah,
sort
the
of
bucket hat was great.
short-sleeved one piece with the belt and the.
Listen,
Oh,
no,
I was
don't.
trying to find that.
No, that's amazing. If you could get like
Yeah, no, I
a
was-
short
I was-
set jumper in terry cloth with a faux belt, shut up.
Where does a man get that in 2023?
1978. That's where you get it. You go shop at 1978. We should make them have a store called 1978 and just sell jumpsuits, terry cloth
Just
jumpsuits.
the
in
Dan
the
Rowan
summertime.
line.
Very specific Dan Rowan jumpsuit line. Good call.
Did you guys
Good.
go ahead? Did you catch the fabric related joke where she says, "Oh, he thinks Chenille is married to the captain"? It's a
Yeah.
Captain and Tennille joke,
Yeah.
which is sad
Yeah.
because they're not married anymore, and Tennille is losing his mind. No, the captain is losing his
Dennis
mind.
Dragon?
It just falls flat in 2023. But anyway, I thought it was a
If only
great
they
joke
had
and
thought ahead.
fabric related
The,
humor.
The rest of Harold Gould's motley crew,
Ugh.
Larry Shuck as Ox, John Shuck as Ox, Larry Storch as the aforementioned Elwood Riggs, and Karen Valentine as Taffy Martino. Apparently,
Taffy
Karen
Martino.
Valentine, an accomplished actress who won
Really?
an Emmy.
Yeah.
Tell me more. I didn't know anything about her at all. Was she in TV shows or like
She
what?
was
Like,
in I've never seen this show, don't know a lot about it. She was in Room 222.
Yeah.
Which was like an early 70s show, and she won an Emmy for it. So
It's a very
I guess that
socially
she's playing
con-
against type here.
socially
she's another
conscious
one that's
show.
been on like every show, like
Mm.
guest. She's a big guest star.
You
She's
you
got
could
that-
do a whole Room 222 is great. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great show. It's very
And
very
finally,
conscious.
Playing
Wait.
the
I'm sorry,
blonde-
Mike. Wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. John Shuck
Okay.
Yeah,
starred
good-
in one of the worst TV shows I've ever seen in my life. It was the 1989 to 90, I believe, or maybe later,
Animal?
reboot of the Munsters. He was Herman Munster. It aired for 1 year.
Oh,
I remember
no.
Me and the producer were the only people that watched it. It was terrible. And
think
when
it
that
was
guy
like
got on
the-
screen, it took me a minute. I'm like, why do I know that face? Oh, I'm accustomed to it, covered in green paint, trying to be Herman Munster, and it was awful.
Wow.
I think it was on like the WB or the CW, like one of those channels
I
had it
think
on.
they
Yeah,
early.
performed it in my living room because I was the only person
So
watching.
bad.
It. Like they would
I
come
love
to
the
my
monsters,
house.
but it was
Yeah.
garbage.
Blame the
Yeah.
name. Finally, Michelle, I think you had some thoughts on her in general, but Stephanie Zimbalist, who plays the blind Jenny Lang,
Yes.
as I said to Michelle, everyone's mom in the 80s watched Remington Steele.
Of course.
And she was the lead actress. But
Yes.
Michelle, what are your
Very
thoughts
good.
about old Stephanie Zimbalist, Jenny Lane?
You know, I'm sure we'll get to more details later, but I really enjoyed her.
Yeah.
Like any of these people, I don't know anything about her. Beautiful head of hair. My God, just a
Gorgeous.
thick mane, gorgeous hair. I felt her character was very grounded, and she had the most dramatic dialogue of
Yes, she
anybody
did.
that I've seen in a show. She spoke like
Yes,
a
she
prophet
did.
at all times.
She-
And-
She had
and I
some
enjoyed
great
that.
lines.
She could have
Can
been in
I-
like a
can I-
30s movie.
I want to save what my favorite line of hers till later in the episode. If you
I
guys
have a
Oh, I'm going to
couple-
bet we
I have a
all have it
couple
written
noted
down.
as well. I have a couple quotes.
I've tried to incorporate it into 2 conversations and have failed, but
Excellent.
I love it. It's one of my
I ho-
favorite. Going
I hope
forward.
it's the same one.
So.
Any other
can I-
notes before we go?
Yes.
Yeah, go.
Yes.
Good.
July of 2022, Larry Storch died at age 99 after a amazing career, by the way.
99.
The guy, if you look up his Wikipedia, he did. I thought he did F Troop and then things in the 70s. The guy continued doing voice work. He had a great career, and he died at age 99. So
He
I
was
mean,
really
crazy,
good.
crazy,
like,
crazy.
Way to not make 100, Larry. Jeez, dude.
Yeah.
Finish the job, bro.
So
99. Come on.
like so many
Stephanie
failed heights.
Zimbalist, not only great in this episode, I agree with you, Michelle. She was also great in Remington Steele, a show I used to watch with my parents, and I thought she was great in that too. There is a Philly connection because I know Ephraim Zimbalist was one of the first directors of the Curtis Institute of Music and was there for about 40 years, and he did a ton of Hollywood musical accompaniments and things like that. He did a ton of scores for Hollywood. So he was one of the Curtis Institute, which was across the street from the restaurant we were all recently were at.
Yep.
I think it opened up in like 1924. He was one of the first directors, and he stayed there for 40 years. So little Philly,
I did not.
right back
know
at
that.
you. I know you guys
Fun fact.
don't live here anymore because you're soulless, but pride. So we can continue.
Why you're the last true Philadelphian. All right, let's
I
go on
am.
the boat. So we open with the paparazzi who are just
Oh.
chasing down Roz and Bill like something crazy to get onto the boat. Mike,
Yeah.
we've seen celebs get on the boat before in more of a hush hush kind of way.
Yeah,
This
Roxy
is
Blue.
Well, Roxy Blue was being chased by her management.
I mean,
These
but
guys are
still,
being
like
chased.
limo, and it was a very different. Yeah, but I don't think they were trying to avoid it.
No. Oh, what, the
Like-
$1.2 million diamond thing that she was wearing?
Well, the note I wrote is giant fake diamond because it just made
And
no
the
sense to me.
shimmer sound, it
Like-
zoomed in and it got its own shimmery sound.
Yeah.
Like you just knew it was going
I
to
was
be like, oh,
That doesn't why like
Yeah.
You
why
should've
is
got
she
a
wearing this
portal
giant
shot.
fake?
Also
Like, I just-
starring
The note
Giant
I
saw,
Diamond
like,
Brooch.
As soon as I saw her, I was like, I think I solved the caper. Let me
Yeah.
just.
Oh, really?
stop. I've solved the. Yeah,
Did you have it
Right.
right away? I didn't.
it was ridiculous. Like they didn't
Guess
even
I
try
just
to
lost
play it
myself
off. Like
for a moment.
it could have been
what they
a 16th of the size, and it still would have been unbelievable. That was ridiculous.
I thought
You
they
could have
telegraphed it a
$28
bit because there
million
was
rock.
literally sorry.
It was
There
held
was
on
literally
with,
no
like,
security.
metal. Yeah, metal. There's
Yeah.
no security on this ship.
Right.
And that,
No security
Don't get me
whatsoever.
started on that
Not one
safe.
person.
and
Yeah.
apparently
Come
you
on.
can just bring drills in and bags and all sorts of things, and no one's and chemicals to make disguise like
This
What?
was a
the hell?
horrible episode for the
Oh.
security of the boat.
Yeah.
Terrible.
that answered
Terrible.
any question you ever had on if there's
Yeah,
any.
Like we've complained for weeks about how they could just have filmed a big tall guy, maybe Ox, just in a uniform, cut it into every episode where he just
Yeah.
stands there menacing, and that's
As
why
they're getting
people
on the
don't
boat.
do stuff on the boat.
Yeah. You walk by
Yeah.
him as you get on.
Right. Meanwhile, these guys are bringing drill bits.
Yep.
And like the guy had a gun a couple
Well, they
weeks
only
ago.
brought one
Well,
drill because the
thing
other
too
guy
Oh,
because
It-
Ox left his drills
Left
in
the bag.
back in LA.
Yeah.
It was
Typical
easier.
Ox.
Bag.
It was easier to get drills. Like I don't know. They get monkeys on this boat. They get all sorts of stuff on this boat. So this is not.
you know there
odd
has to be drug
occurrence.
running. There has to drug running on this boat.
That's
I
what
thought
they're.
that's what
there's- you
Steve
can
was
do
doing
anything
at
you
first
want.
when he was going to Puerto
Yeah, we
Vallarta.
go back and forth to Mexico
Mm.
for tourism. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Every 10 days. What?
the gang shows up after this.
Where's the episode? God.
The gang shows up after this.
Yeah.
The thieves, whatever we're gonna call them, the caper crew, whatever we're calling the four
I call
people.
them henchmen.
The caper crew works.
There you go. So the caper. Well, Mike, you can't be all henchmen. You need a leader. Somebody
Well, that's
has
why
to
I
be.
say men. Oh, I see what you're saying.
No. I'm
Leader.
saying somebody has. You can't just have all henchmen. That would be weird.
They would just be
Yeah,
running around, bumping
They
into each
would
other.
be
Yeah.
running around in circles, tripping over leotards.
So they seem to have, like, be in a limo when they arrive. So are they
Yeah, what do they need to steal
posing?
something for?
Are they posing as the trappings of rich people, or are they like good crooks who have some money and then they're going for the big
No.
store?
You
Well,
have
it's
to
revealed
appear
at
that-
the end that Ox has all
that-
kinds of money.
That's
But they
right.
didn't know that.
Ox has the money.
I
but
think they were
they're-
trying to sell, like, sell
I
themselves.
think they're trying to, because also, who's the con man here? Is it the guy dressed like a con man in the bright white suit with the red tie? Like he got out of that car. I'm like, okay, that's the
Yeah.
leader, and he's the head con man immediately.
You're the
Just
leader.
look at his
You're the hot
clothes.
chick. You're the muscle.
Yeah.
Like,
And you're Larry Storch. You're F Troop. I don't even know what you're doing.
I just like the
In
way
fact,
he groomed. He was very groomed
Larry-
the whole time,
Larry
very
Storch's
flat.
character was just thrown in there. Like he was
Yeah.
not. They could have had a three.
How are they
He
going
was
to drill
like
the
Oh no,
hole?
he was the communication.
He was
guy.
key. He
Yeah,
he
he was
was
on
he was the dude that drilled the hole.
he was
brought his
competent.
bag. Yeah, he was
He-
competent,
Of the
Oh,
four,
right.
he was
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
the most competent.
but he doesn't like to work when
Also-
he's sweaty. That's
And
for
he
sure.
listened
Shut it down.
into-
I'm sweaty.
He listened into those people having sex and he made quips about it. Quips.
Yeah, a lot,
Yeah.
often. Like he was
It's a
spending
lot
way
of-
too much time with that earphone on.
Yeah, that's why this show came on at 9:00 at night because of sexual
true.
quips, quippery.
We'll get into the caper, the four capers, but it is a classic crew, right? Like that's what you need. You need a dame,
Yeah.
you need a
Mhm.
muscle, you need a brain. It's really A-team rules, except they didn't have the dame. They had face.
Well, face,
Right?
but like Taffy
Yes.
Martino, aka Lady Face. Yeah.
She is lady face.
Yeah.
You're
Lady
right.
Face. Mhm.
So
She looked like Jennifer from WKRP,
she did look a
like
little
a
bit like
low rent
Jennifer,
version.
Yeah.
Yeah,
who has been on here already.
Yeah, just
No.
the worst hair ever.
I love that hair.
Gopher is assisting Jenny Lang into the ballroom or the entranceway. I, as someone with terrible vision, appreciated the fact that she said that she only needed to be shown everything once and she'd be fine. But I thought that was nice that Gopher, helped her in. Mike, does this qualify as someone who maybe shouldn't have come on the boat by herself?
100%.
100%.
5,000%. But here's the thing: is it's not. I'm just saying, expectation wise,
Yeah,
it's a new place, it's a new space. You're not going to know what everything kind of is going to
right.
feel the same. It's just, why would you? And she was like, kind of like, "We'll go for I have it," and I want to be like, "That's sweet," and I totally get it, but she doesn't have it. Like, what are they going to say? Oh, you're up on the Acapulco deck. You know what I mean? Like, how's she going to find her room?
So there was like 2 occasions when she was walking by herself, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. But the second occasion, she was outside on the deck. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you only have to explain something once to me, and I'll use echolation to figure out where I'm at, like a bat. I get that. That's fine. But she's on a deck on the
No,
high
she was
seas,
skeet
man.
shooting. She was skeet shooting.
And
Dan.
she was distraught. Like you know what I mean? Her echolation's not going to work. She's going to be all crazy, and she's walking the deck by herself. Like, Jesus, that's not good.
Well, if you go on a
No
on a
security
cruise,
on this boat, no safety whatsoever. I love it.
if you
love
go on a cruise,
God, sorry.
right? I would think that the goal would be to relax. I don't think it would be a relaxing
Right.
situation to be in a new environment and not be able to see and not have anybody with you, maybe, or just as a friend with you. Like,
But in fairness to
Yeah.
her, and I actually really liked this about her character because every other character on the boat kept trying to treat her like this charity case to be pitied. And she was kind of like, I'm good, guys. Show me around. I'm having a nice time. I'm enjoying the sea air and the motion of the ocean or whatever. But like, she didn't seem to be troubled by
yeah,
it.
I mean, her door's unlocked too. You know what I
Well,
mean?
everybody's doors
And
unlocked.
she
I
sees
do.
more than us.
She sees more than
That's what they
any
said.
of
Well,
us.
apparently she's like
Yeah.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Oh, I smell.
I do
Whoa.
wonder. Yeah, my hearing's not that great. I
Matt
do
Murdock.
wonder what her trip would have been if old Steve wasn't at the desk when
That's
she
fair.
showed up.
That's very fair.
She would have got
It's
finger
kinda like that
banged
pregnant
by Doc
woman.
in the closet.
One of
What
those
if-
creeps was going after her. It's true.
what
It's
if
just the
Steve
way
had
they
He'd be
just,
like,
look.
"Oh, this is my gigantic ship's condo," and it was just like a supply closet because Doc
Man,
is
it's
a
the boom boom
scoundrel
room.
like that, and it's
what
the
if Steve
70s.
had, what if Steve had like pretended to not hear her and just
Yeah.
like,
Did
because I'm
anybody-
gonna be
Yeah, I
honest.
mean-
I'm gonna
did
be honest.
anybody
So,
think we're- Go ahead. Sorry.
and I don't mean this in a bad way at all. I mean, it's so a similar situation. Worked at a hospital. I was a blind lady, worked in the X-ray department. I don't know how she did transcriptions, right, in a special computer. And every day she would eat in the break room. And every day, if you were in there, she would ask you to get her stuff out of the machine. And I got tired of getting her stuff out of the machine, not because she's blind. I just got tired of getting
'Cause
stuff
you're-
for her
you're-
out of the
Not that
machine.
she's blind, because you're an awful human.
No, I
Right.
did for a while.
You don't like
but then
helping
after-
anybody.
But then I remember one day she was like, "Is anyone there?" And I was like,
Oh my god!
Wait,
I
you
never
did
went
the
back
speed
separated.
move?
Christ.
Did you slam the door?
You just volunteered
no,
that
there was no door.
information.
I just I snuck out.
Yeah,
Oh,
I tippy-toed out of the
Michelle.
room.
To your point, nobody asked them for this information. He's just giving it to us.
I'm just saying that's what Steve could have done. That's what
What a
I'm
horrible
bringing it back.
revelation.
Steve could
Well,
have.
Steve obviously
Yeah.
was very much into her. And the
What?
thing is,
Yeah.
too,
Yeah, when
for
he couldn't
Steve's
And her
see.
lovely hair.
for
When he couldn't
Steve's
see.
perspective, it's like you read a book, right? And then they make it a movie and you have in your head what the character looks like. And then you got to see and it was better.
Aw.
Good for them. It's romance.
No, they couldn't.
Yeah.
do
Hey,
this again. It
Michelle,
would be
you know,
catfish.
not every marriage is based on 2020 vision. A lot of those end in divorce. You know what I'm saying, hon? Just remember
Yeah,
that.
I know what
Wow.
you're saying.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Did anybody
Steve-
think at any point that Steve said something like, "I think you'd prefer it if I was blind again, or I went blind again"? Did you think he was going to pull an Oedipus and take like knitting hooks and just put them right into his eyeballs in the bedroom? Because like for a second there, I was like, "This is going to get gory as hell." He's
Yeah,
just
but
gonna
is
if-
this what you
slam
want?
him out.
Even if he did that, though, I mean, Dan, even if he did that, just like he said, he could just go back to the doctor and have operations, and he can just get
Yeah.
his vision back.
Yeah.
I had operations. What? You were
What?
blind.
Yeah, I had
What-
operations
what
in
the
But now you can
1978.
see- What kind of
Right.
operations in 1978? Because they don't have
Yeah.
them now. So
Yeah.
They don't have
Oh.
them now, right? So
yeah, so you
Yeah,
can
that,
burr all you want. We'll give you your sight back, Steve.
I was disappointed because Steve, I think they were trying to trick you by Steve wearing sunglasses initially, right?
Of
Mhm.
course, they
Because that
were.
was classic. This is a blind person. You're wearing sunglasses, but then they were pretty
Bait and
light
switch.
sunglasses, and he ditched them right away. I'm surprised they didn't drag that out a little bit longer.
Or have him with a stick in his hand, but just like a regular stick. You know, not
Yeah,
like a
like
tap,
a
tap,
rain
tap
stick.
stick. No, what is that? Oh, I
He's
just brought it
picking
from
up
home.
like
My,
he's picking up boat trash.
yeah, my Chesapeake Bay Retriever gave this to me. Bait and switch.
Anyway, those two knew each other
Wait,
from
they
the
didn't
blind
put that in the
school.
show.
Yeah, yeah, right.
It's because
Those two know each other from the
didn't
blind
write this one.
school. Those two know each other from the blind school. They're going to have dinner together, which was nice. Stubing meets the thieves. Doc and Gopher are on Taffy. Like you dropped her
Oh.
on a rug.
Okay.
Oh,
I got something to say here. I didn't go back and rewatch the episode, so let me know if this was made more clear. But how did they know, Gopher and Doc? How are they so sure that she was single? She was there with
Yeah.
3
no
guys.
clue. No clue.
Could have been
Didn't
there
know.
with any of
Didn't
them.
care.
They
No ring.
right
Yeah, they don't-
in. Like,
They don't care.
they went right in. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not very Gopher like.
They were kissing her
honest with you.
hand and stuff.
Yeah.
Wasn't very Gopher like. It was way out of
Imagine
character
that.
for him to do
Right,
that.
like no
Like, imagine
questions
you take
asked.
your wife on a cruise and some guy just starts kissing her hand.
Doc,
Yeah,
Aggressive.
Weird.
Here's the
Even
thing, though.
for-
That's why we don't go to
For
Myrtle
Doc.
Beach anymore.
we saw this last week. I think that Gopher might have broke the seal because remember last week
With the
he hooked up with that dummy
that he could
with
only
the bad nose, And so now I think maybe he's turning into little Doc. And so I agree,
maybe
Michelle. That was
Maybe
awful.
he freaks
but-
out. He only saw 36% of her face.
Well,
Now it's
and-
100%.
And Julie told Gopher that
Yeah.
Doc doesn't have a patent on charm.
But he
Yeah.
does.
He does, Julie. Shut
but
up.
he does.
What are you talking about, Julie?
Also on
I would-
chloroform.
I would like to. I would like to add something about Julia or Julie.
Julie.
I had a huge crush on her when I was a kid, and when I watched this episode, it rekindled it. So I just was like, wow,
She's the
I
best.
used to just stare at her like a little pervert. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And now,
we had
40
a
odd
weird,
years later, I'm staring at her as a grown pervert. So
Julie
yeah,
had
go me
Julie
when I
has
was a little boy.
rebounded a little bit. There were about 3 or 4 weeks where Julie was going off the rails a little bit, and we were disappointed because
bad.
the first half of this project so far has been very pro Julie. We are all falling in love with Julie.
Yeah.
And then she had a rough stretch, but she's back.
Very
She's
rough
back on the
stretch.
beam, I would say. So
Yeah, I would say
Is
so.
the captain's daughter part of the show yet? I
Not
remember
yet.
Her.
Not yet.
in fact, Dan, there was
She
an
stole some of
episode.
Julie's thunder, which I never liked, by the way.
Well, here's the thing.
Well,
there
we'll
was
see
an
what-
episode a couple weeks ago where Steubing mentioned the only family he has was his father.
That's right.
So we don't know how they're going to drop the daughter in.
Secret. Maybe he left
He
like Bob
clearly
Crane.
had a romance.
Maybe she
TBD.
thinks he was
wartime
shipwrecked.
romance.
He was
Who knows?
shipwrecked in
TBD,
Cape Hatteras.
TBD, no spoilers. All right, let's get into the 3-way here with the masquerade. With Barbara and her lawyer husband Alan arrive. What was it?
Yeah.
Fabric designer. Was her
Yeah,
official
she's
title?
fabric designer. Yeah.
Yeah. So they arrive.
This is- Oh,
Barbara is
sorry.
like ecstatic because this was a surprise. She just found the tickets, whatever. Luckily, Dan Rowan sees a cab coming from like a mile away and figures out that his mistress is
Yeah.
in there.
Peripheral. Like that's
And
a
like
you know what that
gets
is?
her to Barbara toot sweet so he can handle the
Those are fighter pilot eyes.
He's got
That's why you can
Hordar.
see
He's
that.
got Hordar, Mike. He can sense it.
That guy knows what's up.
point.
He's everywhere.
So
and
Michelle-
nowhere. Amazing.
Michelle, as the lady on the show today, if you are the aggrieved mistress here and you show up, assuming you're going to go on a cruise with your lover, and turns out he's like, you can't come on, my wife caught us. Would you buy a ticket? Would you blow up his spot? Would you make him buy the ticket? What would be your move there?
Ooh. I don't know. I can't relate to these people at all, to be
I hope not.
honest. But there
can't?
was something that I really respected though about like, you know what? You think this is how this is gonna go? I'm gonna insert myself in this and I'm just going to make your week miserable. However that unfolds, whether she actually was trying, I actually have less respect for it if she was really vying to like get this guy and win this guy, because I was not as under the influence of his charms as you 3 gentlemen seem to be. But as
Right.
just a revenge plot of like, I'm going to make you squirm, I respect it. I respect it.
I respect the revenge plot, but there was a certain level of horrible cruelty that those two did to the wife. Like they were like, "Oh, I was here. I was supposed to be with," because the wife says, "Why are you alone?" And she's like, "Oh, I was supposed to be with my man, but his wife found the tickets." And then the wife realizes that a few scenes later, and I was like,
Mhm.
"That's just unimaginably cruel to this poor
She
woman."
never
Like,
lied
They were
though.
cuckolding her in front of
No.
her face.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Kathy
That's
never
Haley
lied.
Mills' sister.
Yet she stayed.
Ew.
So dumb.
And they state that, I have a
I
great
know.
taste. You have great taste in women. I have a great taste in wives.
We'll get to
That-
it at the end. We'll get to it at the
Ugh.
end, but I will say
vomit.
this show has a weird ass way of dealing with adultery.
They're
And
pretty open
usually
about
the
it.
way is not dealing with adultery.
Yeah.
So it is uncomfortable. It's probably the most tone deaf thing consistently
Yeah,
on the
It's
show
true.
so far.
That's
It
true.
really is.
yeah.
Was
Was there a laugh
anyway.
track on this episode?
there
Yes.
There's a
is,
laugh-
but they don't hit it too much.
It's not consistent. It's sort of weird the way it's low in the mix too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember a laugh
Um,
track on Love Boat.
It's
a child.
it's
Hit or miss.
it's not consistent in the show. It's not consistent in like episode to episode. It's not consistent on what is
Yeah.
actually funny and what's not. Like,
Different writers, different directors. I mean, there's
Yeah.
but I wonder if one director in one episode wants a laugh track and the other two don't. I wonder how that would work. You can't have one storyline with a laugh track, or maybe they do. I don't know. Interesting.
So Barbara and Alan are out on the lounges when Kathy shows up, and this is when it kind of like is basically her decision of how she's going to handle it. And it turns out that I guess this is true, right? That Alan was Kathy's divorce attorney. Is that how they met, or do you think that was a lie?
Yeah.
I think that was bullshit. I think it was just
Really?
a way to establish.
No, I
a
think
safe link.
I think that's how they met. No, I honestly think that's how the whole affair started. She was getting divorced. He was the attorney.
When did they
she's
establish he was
Adrienne
a lawyer?
Barbeau.
Okay.
He's
saying
the
that-
first thing
Well,
he
they
says
have-
is, "Oh, I guess I'm too busy to remember to tell you about the trip." You know how lawyers are.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
No,
still-
I think that's
I
legit.
don't know.
Yeah. No,
I
I
think
just,
agree
I
with
just
you.
generally don't believe people. So yeah, no, I didn't believe it. I thought it was just a
You know,
quick,
I thought
convenient
this.
story.
I thought this whole thing was to find out more about the Love Boat, but I'm finding out more about Mike Taylor.
Yeah, this is really just a 250.
The Love Boat
episode
was
look at
inside
Mike
of him
Taylor.
all along. I just don't trust people. Oh,
Maybe the reason
okay.
he doesn't trust people is because he quietly walks out of a room
Yeah, yeah.
when a blind person is asking for assistance.
So, what are the ethics
pantomiming
on?
out of a kitchen. Just oh my god. Go ahead.
What
Sorry,
are the
Michael.
ethics on dating your client who you just represented in a divorce trial?
Didn't we just see this in another episode?
Well, we saw
Probably
it
not.
when you were the marriage
Probably not.
counselor,
Right. Oh yeah, similar. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so no problems,
Isn't
right?
it the same ethical? Isn't that the same ethical dilemma? I think it's even more.
I'm simply
I
the
imagine they
moderator
don't-
posing a question.
I'm saying if for an attorney, that's just money.
I mean, as somebody
You know,
who works in the legal industry, not as an attorney, but as a person who has a job, you know, I imagine they frown on you dating your client. You know, I imagine they extremely frown on it. There's probably many. I don't mean to toot my own horn. Conflicts with dating your own client. you
yeah,
know?
but what wouldn't they do? What if it
Because
was
you-
after though? If it after the fact, after the
it- I mean,
judgment was over, that's kind of different, right?
But is he still technically her attorney, even though the divorce is over, the
Divorce is
proceedings are
over.
done? Is he still her attorney?
I will say none of
Because
it's
that's
great.
the-
I didn't watch the episode with the marriage counselor. That seems worse. That seems
Yeah,
like more of a
it
gray
was.
area where there's a path
There's a
to
trust
resolution
thing.
that you're capitalizing
Yeah.
on versus, yeah, to your point, Taylor, I think there's not great, but at least in the world where like a divorce is happening, it's final. You are no longer the lawyer of record. Go chase
Yeah.
your bliss, I guess.
Exactly.
Do you think it's a gray area? We look at it in 2023 as a gray area because these things actually did happen in the 70s, where rules later had to be enacted to counteract all that tomfoolery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're like,
It's like Air.
Oh, yeah,
it's like
please.
Air Bud. They didn't have to put a rule in about not having a dog play basketball until a dog started
it's
playing
exactly
basketball.
like
right?
Airbud.
Yeah, it's the worst rule
100%
ever in
Airbud.
sport. Worst rule
What a
ever.
Everybody's
reference.
fucking their guidance counselors and lawyers and marriage
Yeah.
counselors and shit.
They
Yeah.
didn't- he was a golden,
like Airbud.
he was a golden receiver.
Yeah.
Steve and Jenny are on the deck, and this is where Steve is going to tell Jenny about the surgery. I think it's mostly because Jenny was taking like an hour to describe a sunset, and Steve had to be like,
Yeah.
"Come
He's
on,
like, I
man."
get it.
Like,
It's
I
orange.
can
He's like,
color's
see
orange.
it.
Yeah.
He's like the goddamn
Good
moon's
Lord.
out by the time you're finished. Like,
It's like maybe if you didn't stare at the damn sun when you were 11 years
Yeah.
old, you'd still have your
Aw.
eyesight. I don't need.
Yeah.
Don't. I'm not staring at it, dummy. I
also,
have
we're
my
in the
sight back.
kitchen and you're describing the
Oh.
oven.
No, because you know what he should have done. Oh,
That was
let me
a great
describe the
choice.
sunset.
Classic.
Just hit the buffet. You
There's
know?
no
I'm
way you were as
right
sneaky
here,
as you
here.
think you were. There's just no chance that
I
she
changed
didn't
shoes. I put on like
Yeah.
dancing
heard.
shoes.
like tap shoes.
Or ninja. I meant ninja shoes. But yeah, Yeah, it
Jenny
was
had the reaction I would assume she would. It'd be weird if you were like, "You had eye surgery." What?
Or she slapped him, throws him over the boat, throws him out,
She
just
kills
kills him.
him. Or maybe she Oedipus's his eyes.
Yeah,
like-
right in his.
Yeah.
Well, it's
That'd be
kind of
great.
interesting though, because initially she's approaching it like she's the power player because she at one time had eyesight. So she's
Right.
like,
Right.
I'm a seasoned for, I'm a veteran on this. Let me tell you what a sunset looks like, sir. Just for him to be
Yeah.
like, I see it.
He's like, yeah, that's
Currently.
cute.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah.
If this was
How about you
India,
shut up for 10 seconds? I have eyeballs.
if this was India
That
and we
works.
lived in a caste system, I'd be above you because these
Oh,
work. These work. I
Yeah.
see orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
I'm
but you
out.
know that FDA did not clear that eye surgery he got.
Oh,
Like
whatever.
that's borrowed time. Those eyeballs. Like,
What happened?
That's why he was
I
going
have,
back to Mexico.
He
The
said,
woman he
I
was
s-
engaged to was his Mexican eye doctor.
he has pig
They just
eyes.
did
That's
anything
what
back
it
then.
is.
Said, "Oh, we'll
They
put
put
lasers in
animal
there. Who
eyes in
cares?"
his head.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
living
he's
on
got
borrowed
cat
time.
eyes.
He's got so much
Yeah.
infection
Yeah.
going on inside his body. He didn't have a fiance. He went there to get treatment. He's just infected from head to toe.
I mean that fiance. We'll get that
He's got
fiance
alpaca
got the
eyes.
short shrift there. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
where's
didn't
her
get a name.
story? Like
He didn't even get a name.
Didn't
she
happen.
always-
Didn't happen.
she's waiting for
Yeah.
she's waiting for a man to come in, get off the boat. They're engaged, and he gets off the boat and's like, by the way, no. I'm in love with
No.
Stephanie Zimbalist. Screw you. I'm getting
Listen.
back on the
Yeah.
boat too.
He got off the boat. He unloaded himself because he was like a human suitcase for some cartel, and then left it there and got back on the boat. No, no.
Oh,
he,
you think there's
he
no
couldn't tell her.
fiance?
She can't handle. I've got a whole bunch of stuff inside my body that I'm smuggling, and I have a certain time I have to be there. You can't
here's
say
the
that to
thing.
her.
Is a drug. Desi Arnaz is a drug mule.
No, because she's gonna be like, "What color are the drugs? Tell me." And he's gonna be like, "Oh, geez, okay, well, it's white. What's white? It's fluffy. Like like he doesn't have time for that. He's got to get off the boat."
I don't have any perspective on if he was actually a drug mule or not. But one thing that did strike me as strange is they didn't make it clear if he didn't get off at Puerto Vallarta to break up with his fiance. It was like he was just getting off like a stop on the subway. I was like, he's treating this cruise like the subway of the sea,
Yeah.
where he's just getting off at this stop and not getting back on. Like, why is that how you're getting
Right.
to Puerto Vallarta? That's
Or why
not-
wouldn't he say that first when he sees her again? To be like, "Oh, how are you? Oh, I'm engaged." Like he's kind of being a scumbag because he's playing. Well, let me see
Nobody
how
seems
this
to
works
really
out.
broadcast their marriages on this
Wait,
boat.
you know what? That's extremely cynical, Mike Taylor. I think he didn't say anything about his fiance because he loved that girl when they were kids. He loved her, and then they lost track, and then he got his eyes fixed by some Mexican cat doctor. And when he saw her again, that love was rekindled immediately. Not that he was a quote human suitcase for a drug cartel like you think. I think it was just love, plain and simple, baby.
I think I agree with Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
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 Tomato, tomato.
Tomato. um.
God.
So now we
Jesus
enter the dining room, and we are in the dining room for a while.
You noticed
and not in a fun way. Go ahead, captain's
head
table.
at
Go
the,
ahead.
no, head of the table. The
Oh, he's
captain was
back?
sitting at the head of the table.
So he's back. Okay.
Remember, yeah, because Stubby sat
Yeah.
at the head, and he sat in that middle part when he was carving the turkey or carving the Christmas thing. But I noticed he moved back to the head of the table. I just want to
okay.
make mention because
So-
that was sort of
so-
a big thing.
So everything's bright with the world again.
Did make sense.
So there's a lot of moving parts here, but the upshot is the gopher is eyeing up Taffy, and Julie's kind of giving him some confidence that this is
Yeah.
Michelle. This is what he says. Doc doesn't have a patent on charm, and so he's going to kind of go make a run at Taffy, which goes not great because Doc gets in there, but then eventually Doc gets booted because he's not integral to the heist.
Is
Doc
Charming?
doesn't have a
Is he
patent on
desirable?
charm, but he. Oh, good.
Wait, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I just am
I was
asking
saying-
the question of is Doc charming?
Yes.
Is
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I just
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen that was said.
It was not shown
like-
in this episode.
Okay.
It's easy to
take your
like
word for it.
think because when we first started watching it, like the assumption was he's a creeper. He's a creeper. He is, but he's so smooth that it like somehow it's okay that he's creepy. I don't know. It's like an acceptable amount of creepy because he's so charm. What was it, the episode? I can't. Have you seen my glasses? And he said, like, I'm the one that needs sunglasses. You're dazzling.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I do think he's
Yeah.
got a lot of like Midwest mom level charm though, and Taffy is from the real world, and his crap
Yeah.
doesn't fly. So I think that is possible.
Can I read my note? Doc
You may.
doesn't have a patent on charm, but he definitely has a patent on roofies. It's like he invented. I thought it was funny. I laughed.
It was
I
really
laughed
the
when I wrote it.
delivery that made that.
Yeah, I had to read it because I didn't remember writing it. And Michelle said the patent thing. I was like, oh yeah, there it is, right there. Yeah, he has a patent
This
on
little
roofies.
chestnut.
So how does Harold Gould get the info out of Steubing that it's actually Gopher that is in charge of the vault? Is that like the easiest thing in the world? He's just like, oh hey, who's in charge of your vault? Like
He didn't have to go.
Isn't the
he didn't really have to go the
purser
long
in
way.
charge of money?
They listen in.
Is the,
We
Don't
don't
they
know what a
find out
purser
about it
is.
through the woman?
no, he finds out about Gopher being the guy they need to target when he's at dinner with Steubing.
Oh, I missed
So
that.
Dan, is that what you think? Here's a fun fact. Me and Mike have refused to look up what a purser does. So,
Never gonna do it.
So you saying purser is in charge of money because of like a purse? Or are you thinking bursar? Like the
I looked it up.
bursar's
There's
office?
nothing to do with money. Yeah, I was thinking.
What is
yeah,
a
I was thinking
purser?
Temple
Go-
purser. Office.
Temple bursar office, right?
Can we get the formal definition? We've been looking for this for a bit of purser.
I think I have it right now. If you'd like it,
Do we want to know it?
it's a purser is the person on the ship principally responsible. Can you want me to read it or no?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. We're already in now. Go.
Oh, I thought
Yeah, too late now. Go
a
ahead.
purser is the person on a ship principal. Okay, Jesus Christ! I'll just start it a third time. A person is the person on a ship. I'm sorry, a purser is the person on a ship.
We'll never know.
Responsible for the handling of money on
Okay.
board.
There it is.
That's the whole job?
There it is.
I
This
guess
is
it
the
does make
first time
sense
I've
though,
seen
because he
him.
was no.
Well,
Have we seen him
remember,
interact with the
besides money,
vault
it's
before?
administration. It's
The vault, yes.
he's also in
but
charge
remember,
of administration and supply.
he gave what's his name? Traveler's checks,
Mm.
Oh, that's right.
That other
that's
guy.
right.
not Carl Malden.
So is a purser
Carl
kind of like a
Malden.
quartermaster too? Kind of
He
What's a
is
quartermaster?
responsible.
like,
A quartermaster is like the army, sort of.
yeah, it's just the army
because the
version. Of
purser
it.
is in charge of administration and supply as well
Yeah.
as money. So he definitely a quartermaster role.
Mhm.
The quartermaster
man
is
at
the guy
arms?
you call. So well, yeah. I mean that's
Like if you
medieval,
need
isn't it?
something, right?
Man at
Like
arms?
say
Also
you
a
need
He-Man
something.
figure.
What quartermaster?
If
He
you
shot
let's
out-
say
he
your
shot out,
battalion
nickels
needs-
and
let's say your
dimes.
battalion needs 12 gross. Yeah.
Hmm.
If your battalion needs boots, you call the quartermaster. So I guess if you need
Like,
boots on board,
If you need
I don't know
flip
why you would
flops,
need boots.
If you need
Yeah.
a terry cloth robe,
Yeah.
a short set.
right?
Yeah, towels.
So Mike, you're probably
call-
right.
yeah,
What
you
we've
call it.
assumed, he's a concierge.
He's a concierge. Yeah, essentially.
He's a gopher.
Oh, I see what they did there.
Yeah.
All makes sense.
Yeah, when
Kathy
they,
shows
when they
up.
put the diamond, when they put the diamond in the vault, right? Why was there no lock on that drawer? Why was there
Oh.
No
no like they
lock on
put
the
it in
drawer.
the case
Well, they didn't
I
think they're
agree.
gonna drill
and
through
everybody can look down and see you doing this shit. Everybody on the boat can look down from where Taffy was and see you taking this crap and putting it in, and it's not even locked.
I thought the same thing. No lock
How
on the
is that a thing?
drawer. And the door, whoever in their props department did the actual safe door was horrible.
Oh, with the real spinning thing. Yeah, it was bad.
It was
I
like,
thought it was
this is
gonna open up with,
clearly
like, dry
painted
ice.
and-
So dumb. Like if you're gonna do that, like put like 3 dials on it. If it's gonna be
And
like that, like make it more, make
time?
more of it.
What time was that? Like the lobby was empty. Like
Oh, we figured it was after dinner, right? It was after dinner. With
Yeah.
they were gonna go back to the room and take a nap. Remember that whole deal? So I bet you it was like 11 o'clock at night. Probably people are either at dinner or at the disco.
okay. So
Yeah.
at this point, we're just gonna jump around a little bit. So
Yeah,
they know it's a fake diamond.
of course.
Why
they
are
yeah.
they putting it in safekeeping? They don't know they're
Great
being
question.
pursued by a gang. The caper. What was it? What did I say? The caper crew. They
Oh,
didn't know
wait,
they were
I-
being
I
pursued by
know
the caper crew.
Henchmen?
I know the answer is quite simply plot hole.
No, that's not an answer.
Okay, but
That's
if we're
it-
not
an
going to
answer.
go with plot hole, I do think there could be something of like keeping up with the mystique of it. Like there was an expectation that the safe was going to be used for this diamond that was getting all of this attention, and it almost would have been weird maybe if they didn't take extra precautions for it. Like it almost makes it less
Because they're-
obvious, you know.
You got to sell
That
it. You got to
You
sell
gotta
it at
sell
that
it.
point. If you're
Absolutely.
gonna if you're gonna roll with that,
Yeah.
you got to sell it.
And they're constantly being used to being looked at. So maybe they always think someone's looking at them anyway. Let's go through with the whole rigmarole. Let's go through with the act. Did you notice he called the people at the bar extras because
Yes.
he's
Yeah,
in
that
the
was
movie
funny.
business.
That was
Yeah.
funny.
Although
case
we
you
had to
didn't know that.
rewind it because he called them extras.
Yeah,
we
it's
didn't
hard
know
to
what he
hear.
said.
Yeah.
It's like, what did he say?
All the booze on the Love Boat is real. That's why. Like, he's completely shit faced.
I think I would
Yeah.
be remiss if I didn't just kind of throw this out there. I know we were talking about this giant diamond, but the big thing for me, and I know this goes out of chronological order, but man, it really got me, was the disguise, the Captain Stubing disguise. And I know we're just sort of
Mm.
jumping around. That whole thing was so completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
The laryngitis, like everything
Okay,
related to it was
you know what?
just
We don't.
Awful.
It's a special
Awful.
episode. We don't need to go in order. So let's break down the caper, all
Yes.
4 parts. We're
Oh,
kind of there
good
for the
God.
first part. So let's get into it. So after Gopher locks up the thing, Taffy starts to distract. They're going right into Plan A immediately, and Plan A requires them to. I guess they have a blueprint of the ship, right? So they know that, of course, the sauna is right above the vault, which makes total sense. So they're going to drill through
I
the
bet you
floor
can
of
get
the
blueprints of
sauna.
that boat easily. They probably
We're gonna
have them
drill through
laying
the-
around.
We're going to drill through the floor of the sauna, stick some sort of camera, unhook the unlocked mailbox,
but don't measure anything to make
Right.
right.
steal the diamond, somehow get it back in, which probably would be harder, right? The actual putting the fake diamond back in was going to be really hard. They never got there. And then that would be it. How were they sealing the hole in the
Wait,
ceiling?
no
Never
one said
addressed.
anything?
Nobody ever notices the hole.
And all the
Right.
steam that would be coming down because remember how
Yeah.
hot it was because
Well, and they broke the sauna.
it. Right.
Yeah, they broke it. Right.
So nothing's dripping. There'd be water
yeah, and like
dripping.
the debris, like when they drill down, just imagine the debris pile that just would be sitting on the floor that would make you go, "What's that?"
Yeah.
Well,
Never
Plus, who
Never-
in,
knows
in
what happens
Gopher's
when you drill a
defense,
hole in
though,
the sauna. Like,
in Gopher's defense, he was working that shift, so he wasn't going to be there to see it the next day in the morning.
Also,
Right? You gotta figure by
wouldn't
the
sauna,
He's just not.
wouldn't the sauna be on the first floor anyway? Like, wouldn't,
it is
like, the
weird to
sauna
have it.
wouldn't-
Yeah.
You wouldn't have it above another room because it's
No.
a sauna.
Especially a
there's-
room
there's
where
a-
if there's some sort of water damage, valuable
Yeah,
items
yeah.
would be destroyed.
the
So-
potential for flooding in a
Right.
It does seem
sauna
like
is
poor
higher
planning.
than any other part of besides the actual pool,
The pool.
and maybe the ocean. There's nothing more higher than the potential for flooding from a sauna that's above another room. I don't
Right.
flaw.
So what also poor planning for part A or plan A is now granted they broke the sauna, right? But the sauna is going to be hot. Wouldn't you have like sauna appropriate clothes for this part of the project. They're in there in tuxedos. That just seems
Yeah.
I mean, Larry Storch damn near dies of heat stroke in there.
He stops work and
So-
he gets a little overheated. He's like, it's too hot.
And then
It's
when he
too
starts
hot.
taking his pants off,
Yeah.
Harold Gould immediately, in sympathy, takes his pants off. Like he wasn't even hot.
Yeah.
So
So
that's plan.
I just don't
That's
understand.
plan
So-
A. That's plan A.
Yeah.
Destined for failure.
So any
Yes.
any
Why
final
did the
thoughts on
sauna
plan A?
not explode when they took it when he broke the lever? Why did the
Exactly.
sauna just not explode?
I don't think it would
Or
explode.
flood.
It probably would have just been like, or some sort of leak or something
don't
would have
know,
happened.
I
Like
think
you
there's
break a
something
valve.
bad.
or
works.
something.
Is there water? Is there sitting water in a sauna?
Well, some of them are just hot.
There's-
And you put like with the rocks, and you put water on the rocks, that kind of thing.
Oh,
It
and it's
depends.
steam. Oh, right.
Mhm.
Still,
You know?
I stand by it.
So- but
Shouldn't be-
still-
it shouldn't be
Yeah.
above a.
If
I
you break a
expensive.
valve, there has to be some like repercussion, like
Yeah.
manually.
So, okay.
But
so
yeah,
that's-
in addition, I agree with you though, Mike, on like the that they knew that was the plan. They knew they were going into a sauna and they chose the tuxedos, and they also decided to start the work wearing the tuxedos. Like they gave that the whole, why wouldn't you just immediately walk in? This is going to be a hot room.
right.
Let's just take off a couple layers.
Well,
Or plan
it
it.
was right after. It's like, okay, I'm
Or
going
plan
to dinner in these fancy tuxedos. Did they do it after they ate? Same
Yeah.
night? So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm
Because
full.
everybody was
like,
distracted.
what the?
Yeah.
Yeah, but why not? Why not do it at like 3:00 in the morning?
Well, because
Well,
in theory,
maybe-
you would have made more noise.
Right.
3 in the
Because
morning, right?
everybody's
alright.
done dinner. They're out to disco.
The
know,
one
they're-
other thing
just
that
wild.
needs to be acknowledged on this part of plan A is that the only thing that drill would have been really loud.
Oh my
And
god,
the
it would have
only
been loud.
thing that it required, the only thing it took for Gopher not to hear it was his own moaning as he was getting
A
massaged.
rub
And then
down.
her little like humming as they were dancing. That was all that it took to obscure the noise. Of,
Yeah,
like,
'cause
the
all he could hear
powerful
was
drill.
All he could hear
going
was the
through
sound of.
metal.
All he could hear was the sound of his own heartbeat in his ears. He was freaking out.
Yeah. Loving it.
So that's plan A. It doesn't work. Probably for not the reasons you would expect. Like if they had the proper drill bit, they get away with it pretty quickly.
Or if Ox had brought the other bag, right? If he
Yeah.
had the other bag, or had he not
Yeah.
broken the sauna,
But I would
it was
argue-
very sophisticated outside of their clothing choice.
Yeah.
Why was
I
that
mean, it's
plan
high
A?
tech, a camera and
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
How many
mechanical
bags
arm.
can you bring on board the Love Boat? Because these
60.
people change clothes every other scene. They have
60.
tuxedos. They have bags of
Hat
drills.
boxes.
they
Yeah,
have-
yeah.
Whatever
Mhm.
blind people, a contramont. I don't know. Whatever they
Can-
use. Like there's just stuff everywhere constantly. They change every clothes. Like it's insane the amount of clothing changes there are. And I noticed them
Yeah.
because I was in love with all the clothing in this episode. But like, how much can you literally bring upon the Love Boat? Like,
Well,
you
think
just
about.
have
I mean,
It's
you've
your
got
room.
swimmer trunks.
you've got dinner wear, multiple nights of dinner.
Right.
So that's
Right.
dress up. You've got, some
There's a
people don't want to wear the
masquerade.
bathing suit. There's
Did
masquerade.
you
There's
bring-
makeup.
In the 70s, when you went on a cruise, did you bring 10 different changes of clothing?
It's like a
Apparently.
This
trunk.
is a weekend
trunk.
cruise, is it not? Like this
And
is,
as
No, we
as
think
a-
it's 10 days.
oh,
Yeah,
it is?
10 days. 10 days.
They
So-
they announce they've said 10-day cruises a lot. Now they have been shorter ones, but they like
Christmas, right?
reference when they're
Yeah.
shorter.
And the other thing, and I'll ask as a follow-up question is, did anyone think it was odd that everyone was staying in the same room?
I was going to ask that. So
Like,
they
how
all
are they
stayed
all in
one
one
room?
room?
You think they were all in one room?
I don't,
Yeah,
I
they
don't
never
know.
showed them in separate rooms.
You're right.
I don't think
As
so.
far as the
Yeah,
because
I
Larry
think-
was there with the head thing on the whole time. Ox was usually
Yeah.
running some stupid errand.
I-
She was
I
there.
think
He
they
was
were-
there.
I think if you understood cruise etiquette, you would understand that was just their hangout room. They all went back to their separate quarters at the end of the evening. But I mean, I just understand cruise etiquette more than you because of the Bahamas.
Who
and
would you rather stay with? Who would you rather split a bunk with? Larry Storch or Ox?
Oh God, it had to be Ox, because he's been in prison. You know what I mean?
Therefore, you'd want to bunk with him?
Oh yeah, yeah. Rough seas ahead. You know what I mean?
So, plan B Plan B is that Harold Gould, though they never mention it, is a master of disguise.
Yeah.
who
Oh,
somehow-
yes.
More than a
Conveniently
master.
left that
More
out.
than like the
Conveniently
greatest.
left that out of
Why
it.
wasn't this plan A? If he's this good at
Right.
this, why wasn't this
That's
plan
my
A?
question.
It's
Why is
silent.
that not Plan A?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Just do Plan A. Just do Plan B better. That's
How can-
Plan A, and then
How
you
can,
win.
how can you be so good at the makeup and then so bad at a Captain Stubing voice? Just like, oh,
Or forget the hat. They didn't wear a hat. Me
Yeah.
and Dan have hats. How do you not have a hat?
Two
well,
captains.
that way you can tell the
Yeah.
difference when the chase began.
He
That's
was
the only
prepared
reason.
with the weird like knee-high socks and
Yeah.
shorts look, and
Hey,
not the
those
hat.
shorts are yanked way up too.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
Captain Stubing got a little offended when
She said he was
Uh,
240.
when she said he was
Jenny.
240.
Yeah.
Jenny said she
Yeah.
was too fat. Yeah.
He does have
Anyway,
some
he's
meaty legs,
he's a
though.
chunky man. I mean, it is
Yeah,
what it is, but he's a chunky for a captain.
He's got some meaty gams on him, and those socks do
Yeah.
not help. I'm just putting.
Well, he's-
I would never even notice his leg except the socks
Except
went
for
up
the
to the tip
socks.
of his genitals.
He was sitting down in a way where I would almost describe his thighs as being milky.
Did you write that
I don't-
down? Is that in your notes?
Totally.
I don't know what to do with that. Okay, so that basically Plan B. He's got this master of disguise. They do the bit where Gavin McLeod does a voiceover, which is awful. Or no, I guess Harold
it doesn't
Gould does a
even match.
voiceover.
It doesn't
Right,
even
Harold
match.
Gould does a
Dude.
voiceover of Gavin McLeod, and then Gavin McLeod does a laryngitis bit, but it's really good. Yeah, it's awful. It's so bad.
This is the second time we've seen a Captain Stubing impression
Yeah,
of his voice.
and it's bad. both
Second
times.
time. And I'll tell you,
Yeah.
Gopher did it spot on. If
Yeah.
you
First
remember
one was
correctly.
in Nazi propaganda when he was a U-boat captain in World War II.
No.
No,
No.
You didn't-
no.
that
A
was
couple episodes ago, just a couple episodes ago on the Love Boat.
I mean, Mike, you did think that he might have been part of the U-boats.
Oh, I do. I still think
To
there's
be
something.
fair.
You know,
100%.
I think we're pronouncing
Um,
his name wrong. His name is Stubing.
So-
and his first name's Merrill. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the his dad's Phil Silvers, by the way, Dan.
Really?
Yeah.
We can call him-
Michelle,
you
you
can
know
call
who
him
Phil
Stubby.
Silvers is?
You can call him Stubby.
The Plan B basically hinges on Taffy is supposed to get Stubing out of there, and then Harold Gould as Stubing goes in with laryngitis, tells Gopher to open the thing. He's gonna, I don't know what, like beat Gopher to death and steal
Yeah,
the diamond. Like,
Is the idea here is it sort of like the unspoken thing is that she's to have sex with all of them? Is that like because
no,
she's
it's just
selling a certain
distraction,
thing?
You
Yeah,
creep.
yeah,
No, it's just
distraction with, like-
distracting.
No,
With, like,
She's
acting like
definitely
she's
having
gonna-
sex with all of them.
and it's
The
like
entire ship.
no. I'm not saying she did, but but that's what she led. She was driving. Look what she did to Gopher. Turned
Yeah,
Gopher into
and
like
it worked. The only
aggressive
person
dude.
she didn't
She
do a good
touched
job
his
on
back
was
with her bare hand. What are you? Where are you from? What do you mean? What did you do to
Stubing.
Gopher? Ooh,
Here's the
she
thing.
massage. Jeez, you're a prude, Mike Taylor.
Taffy did a good job with the other two, but she did a bad job with Stubing because Stubing comes back. Her job is to keep Stubing occupied, whatever that means, until the job is done. And she kept him away for like 30 seconds. That's why the whole plan blew up.
Mhm.
So you blew your amazing
Plan B.
disguise, Plan B. Like on they didn't get close at all. That whole
he
thing.
needs to hire the right people.
He's got a
She
bad-
was not up to the task, obviously.
Not for a captain.
No,
So this
because
ends-
like you said, I mean,
And
He almost
seen
had it.
all, too.
He almost
He's seen
had
it
it.
all.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know-
especially not a captain with milky thighs.
Yeah, he's not getting his thighs milked by that woman. There's no chance in hell. He's been
This,
around the dick.
vitamin.
This results in our second time filler because the actual attempt on Plan B heist was a pretty big time filler, and then Gavin McLeod chasing Gavin McLeod around the boat for an hour and a half. It felt like
It went on
was-
forever. I was waiting for him to show it in
and-
like fast motion, like a Benny Hill sort of
Yeah.
chase.
It
Yeah.
was.
would've loved
This
that.
is how they
Would've
got
loved
to an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah. Did
but
he get
long
big
story
spike
short-
for that,
Hmm.
do you think? Because he's technically two characters.
Well, actually, they list Harold Gould in the IMDb. They list him as Captain Steubing.
Oh,
It was
Which is
really
so
him in that.
so they're
Yeah.
wrong.
Sold.
Yeah, this
So
is
you don't-
not even
So
trying.
don't
Yeah.
trust IMDb, is what I'm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're
Um,
crediting like his voice as maybe there's some way that's like
Best-
some
It was
bizarre-
probably the best plan and the worst execution of the four schemes.
should have been
Yeah, because
Should've
plan
been over.
A,
Should've
but
been plan A.
bad
Should have been
plan.
over.
Wasn't a bad
C.
plan,
No.
just not executed. Just not executed. Plan A was stupid. Plan B was not stupid.
No.
What's her name? Dropped the
Totally
ball.
agree.
And Plan C
Um,
was the worst.
We'll get to that, but I don't want to skip. I'm kind of wondering if this is the quote, Dan, that we had talked about earlier for Jenny. So, Steve and Jenny are out on the deck at night, and Steve gives Jenny a smooch and says that they couldn't resist. Now, I asked Michelle this, and she didn't agree. But what is the etiquette on kissing a blind person unannounced?
It's the 70s. Do what you want. Yeah, it's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I did feel that it was obviously consensual.
Is this after he put the cream on her back and like she
Yeah.
was sort of
Yeah,
flirting?
this
Yeah,
is-
so
yeah,
at that
this is
point,
It was
Sunscreen.
obviously
Sunscreen.
consensual.
sorry,
Sunscreen.
sunscreen, not cream.
This is actually the last thing.
Cream
This is
on
the
it.
last conversation they have before she finds out that he's engaged.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're all the way
Or-
down
Says-
there.
Yes,
Yes,
or
and
a
then-
drug mule.
Okay, so now let's play match game here. Michelle, what quote are you thinking of?
I have a cabin full of nothing but privacy.
Yep, that's
Wow.
what I got. Dan,
That's it.
Let me walk into my own walls.
That one too.
I love it. I've been trying to incorporate it. It's so hard. Like you really have to understand the context. You know?
And she
I
like
did,
you like Eve Arden's that thing. That's like, let me walk into my own walls.
Yeah,
She
she
did
talked
a
like a
shaky
continental
martini, like,
accent.
oh.
Yeah.
there was more and
Fantastic.
more from Steve. Did you any memorable quotes did you write down from our friend Steve?
No, I thought Steve was just like he was like I just couldn't believe that he was engaged and had been doing all the stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
Steve at one point says to her, she says, "Tell me, the sun is setting," and he says, "I see two sunsets."
Oh, he did say that.
That was-
like Tatooine.
oh yeah, what? We're magically transported to the home of Luke Skywalker? What? It's usually warmer this time of year in Tatooine. Both suns at the same time? What if the Jawas and the Tusken Raiders? Yeah. When he said, "I see two sunsets," one in the sky and one on, and there was some ridiculous way he wove it to her. I'm like, oh god.
We also skipped the part where
terrible.
I thought Steve invented selfies because he was trying to show her how to take
So
a
did
picture.
I.
I thought they were going to spin that camera around.
That's
and
what I
Steve-
thought.
Steve Hollis invented the selfie.
SH, no, it was just
Instead, he got a terrible picture of his chin. Because there's no way that picture was lined up correctly. So
I mean, statistically speaking, just saying, she's not going to take a great photo ever.
but like that's on him because
Well,
he
she
told
may
her
have before
Was that her camera or his camera? Was his camera,
No.
correct?
No,
He's like-
why would she have a camera?
To record moments, Dan. I don't know. There's no film in it, but
he's like hold the camera here and I'll stand in the right spot. And then he stands in the
Thanks, sis.
completely
Another
wrong
picture
spot.
of your forefinger.
you really should push your cuticles back, sis.
So Jenny is, crestfallen, obviously. Steve tries to woo her back with flowers that Julie drops off in a awful ADR scene, which is like just terrible ADR.
The sound was
ADR?
weird.
ADR is when you go back over and record the audio, because usually the background sound is wrong. And Mike, I think that means they were actually on a boat.
I was going to mention that I did see several shots where normally, you don't see moving water in the background of the pool. You saw it when they were swimming. They were doing the shortest swim laps ever. In the background, you could see water when they were on the deck. Like it wasn't so much a set. And even I think that's why how are they going to do audio? You can't. I mean, I guess you can, but you're not going to be able to hear anything.
But that
But
was
I
agreed
noticed
to
it a lot.
DVR. Yeah, that was a lot.
Maybe that's why they
Does
had
that
the
mean
laugh track on this one, just to
Yeah,
get
but
all
does that
the,
mean it was a more
That's possible.
expensive? Does that make it a more expensive shoot?
No, because they probably were like for these special 2-parters, right?
Yeah.
Like you just rent a boat. They probably do all that in a day. Like all the outdoor, because they still had the
That's
regular
true.
indoor sets and stuff.
Well, and plus you have the pan shots, the arrival, the departure, those standard.
Yeah, there weren't that many things we
Rescue.
hadn't seen before,
No,
except
no,
for the
no.
outdoor thing.
Just those outdoor. Yeah, they're probably one afternoon. Yeah.
When you're talking about these roses, though, is that after the door scene? I think the roses as an apology comes after the cheap trick.
No. We're not there yet.
Okay.
So this is after she finds out that Steve's engaged, and
That's right.
she deuces out. I know what you're saying, Shells, but we're not there yet. So this is when Jenny leaves the rose on the deck chair.
Oh yeah.
And Fernando Lamas just shows up and
just
steals
takes
a rose off a blind woman.
Steals it off a blind girl, who he then
You're
lets
not going to need this.
walk down the ship by herself. Like he even turns around to look at her, and she's just sort of walking off by herself. He's like, "Oh, that's the blind girl. I know her from."
You
her
could hear
clip and doesn't say it. He's like, "Oh, go ahead, blind girl. Walk down, open seas."
Well, no, and there's a
Mike-
little.
Mike tailored her to get that rose.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
There's a deleted scene when he's like, I don't think blind people can smell. And then he takes the rose. So he's sort of like validating him taking it. I don't know.
So he steals that rose, goes back, and then jumps in what Michelle pointed out to be a very small bathroom.
That was a very small
for
bathroom.
celebrities. So-
Which also, okay, so this needs to be said. The only other episode that I sat through and like watched in its entirety of The Love Boat was the one with the runaway that ends up with that couple and like wanting to be adopted or whatever. So The Love Boat
James Bond Jr.?
Yes.
Yes. The Love Boat is a place that is a destination or vacation that a runaway can scrounge up some money for, or the Hollywood elite
Yeah.
may also choose, like who in their circles are like, you know what you gotta do, get on the Love Boat. And so then I'm thinking, okay, Michelle, whatever, suspend the disbelief. I bet they have an amazing room. Like their room and accommodations are gonna be next level. And then you just see her in this shitty bathtub.
Same crappy room.
Small, crappy room as a
But that wasn't even
for themselves.
That wasn't even the same room.
The episode with the runaway, did he run away because he was being abused?
No, his parents just were getting divorced or something.
There's another runaway episode then. But God, sorry.
But who was the marketing executive? Remember the room that they took those?
That
wasn't the same room these
Stockdale.
celebrities had.
No,
wasn't
they
that
didn't
supposed
get
to be the nicest room?
They didn't get the promenade suite.
Why not? He's got a
You
diamond this big, and she doesn't even get the big
diamond, and you are just in like steerage,
Slumming it?
basically. It doesn't even matter.
You know what?
Yeah, we've
Like a
all
hostel.
had better bathrooms in our houses.
Yeah, like a floating hostel.
When she overheard the couple talking about he was going to buy her all this and buy her all that, and she was like, "Oh, Steve, don't buy me anything," and he's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it on my salary." Like, you're right. Anybody can get on that damn boat. Why aren't they?
I don't know.
Steve's broke as shit, and he's just getting on and off. He's not even buying a return ticket. He bought the return ticket on the ship. There has to be some sort of surcharge for that. No. Everybody, come on. Yeah.
He stole those roses.
Yeah, I was going to say, where'd he get the rose money from?
The real question.
Maybe that's what he's smuggling as the human suitcase.
Roses. He just yanked them out and put them in a room. Here, I know they smell a little. Well, she'd know.
Hey, Steve, I'm
that- with
blind.
that
These roses
sniffer.
smell like shit.
These roses don't smell like roses. They smell like a cashew sort of thing. Steve, and he's with their
Plan-
crap roses.
Plan C is the air
Awful.
ducts.
Oh,
This isn't
dumb
even a
as fuck.
plan. This isn't even
How
a
is-
plan.
How is Ox that
You
big?
know what? If
That's the
you're gonna-
stupidest
if
thing.
You're gonna,
Why
if you're
wouldn't
gonna
she
do the
be
air
up there?
duct, you're gonna do the whole dumb air duct thing, which even by 1978 had been beaten to death. Don't do it with a guy who can literally just stand up in the room. Like
Right.
he comes out of the vent, he's like 7'2", and they have him swinging back and forth between the walls. He could have literally just stood up and hit the ceiling. Like
Why did they not drop Harold Gould down from the ceiling
Yeah.
with the really strong guy holding him? Like,
or Storch.
He's
Why did they
slamming
bring
back
Storch?
and forth, and
Right.
because metal vents probably wouldn't, radiate sound at all. No one's going to hear the
No.
Clank,
Clank, clank,
There's
clank.
no-
all
yeah.
over.
The
It was
sound
so I
is
thought it was.
I
I
will
thought it
say
was
this, though, that-
interesting when
Yeah.
they come in when Fernando Lamas comes in with the rose to get into the tub, right? The door is shut, and he says to Michelle Lee, "I'm coming in," and he gives her the rose and everything, and then he shuts the bathroom door behind him. The only reason he shut the bathroom door behind him is so they could plausibly not have seen Ox swinging around. If you're in a hotel room by yourself and your wife is in the tub and you're going to jump in, you're probably not worrying about shutting the door.
Oh, no. Au contraire. No, I'm shutting that
Pardon
door.
me.
Yeah. No, I'm shutting that door. I'm probably locking that door. That's just that. Yeah, absolutely.
Because of your
Again.
fear of getting your jewels
No,
stolen?
but like, listen,
I've
I
learned so
would be
much in life.
defenseless in there, naked in a tub. What if a ruffian breaks in? What am I to do? It's not like I'm like an
Someone's
animal.
breaking
I
into
don't
your
have a turtle
hotel
shell
room.
mic. Like I
Someone's
have to
breaking into your
defend
hotel
myself.
room, breaking into
Yeah.
your bathroom, and attacking you. That's what you're
Right.
afraid of?
Well, I'm only betting they can do one of those things, and that's breaking into the hotel room. That's secondary layer of security. I got
Just
it.
too much.
Yeah, and plus I'll bring my wallet in the bathroom too. Catch me
Oh yeah, we
sleeping.
all do that. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Fool me twice.
I
That's
tape
why
it to
everybody
the
calls
toilet.
you Fernando Lamas.
That's right.
So,
That's right. No, in all honesty, it does make sense to me. I honestly would shut the door, lock the door.
Okay.
in the
You're,
bathroom.
you're not at home or something. You're in a boat where nobody locks their doors.
Well, I would
So,
lock the
yeah, I'm
front
gonna
door.
shut
I agree
the-
with that. I just, if in the heat of passion, if a person is in the tub inviting me into the tub,
Yeah.
I'm not taking the time to, secure the door.
Listen,
So,
if it's that heated, I'm definitely locking the door. I'm just saying.
I don't know what that means. If it's
the end of Plan C, eventually Ox gets dropped through the ceiling. He grabs what we assume is the wrong diamond.
Thank you for saying it that way. He might have been right. I believe. I want to get a T-shirt that says "Ox was right."
Go ahead.
It's in our store. It's in
Yeah.
our show store.
Yeah, show us. Yeah.
next to the terry cloth robe.
That's right.
But yeah, ultimately, Harold Gould comes back with the diamond. He is high on his horse. He's got a whole speech about rubies are this and blah blah blah, but diamonds you could cut. And what was his plan? He was going to just say, "Hey, I stole the diamond," and I
He was gonna
marked up
sign
the
his
hotel
name.
window.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
signed this and okay, Mr. Jewel Thief. He's holding this piece of glass, and it's this big, and he's like, it's 100% legitimate. There's no
Yeah.
weird thing he's looking.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
So ultimately,
So stupid.
they either, in the moment of the show, they grab the wrong diamond.
Ox
Now,
was right.
as we talked about, it turns out that the diamond itself was fake, and so
That's
I
right.
guess the result would have been the same either way. Hashtag Ox was right.
Yeah.
Ox was right.
Why didn't Ox just grab both? You know?
'Cause they
Because
needed
that way
to
they would
leave
know someone
one-
was stolen.
Yeah, they didn't want to tip anybody off that it was missing.
Hmm.
But the big signature he wrote on the glass in his hotel room saying, "I, Howard Gould,
Stole.
have stolen your diamond. Ha ha ha. I'm going to retire now on a beach with my 3 Confederates." That wouldn't have tipped them off.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How long were they
Alright.
planning to? He was gonna cut that how many ways? The profits on that?
Four
4
ways.
ways. $1 million, like what?
So three. That was $1.2 million. So it'd be 300 grand.
And they're gonna live forever.
But that, in
Must have been
1978,
nice. Must
that
have
was
been nice.
$417 million.
That's romantic.
Plus, were they going to like finish out the cruise? There were a couple days left, right? So they were just going to be like real cool about it.
I'd get close to shore. I'd jump off with that diamond in my teeth. I promise you that, and be like, "Smell you later, compatriots."
That might tip the authorities off.
I'd be swimming right into
Shark infested
wherever
waters.
they're going. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Sure.
Yeah. The guy that has to shut his bathroom door when he's making love to his wife in the bathtub would then just jump off a boat into shark-infested waters with a jewel, with a gem firmly clenched between his teeth. Okay. Yeah. No. I got you. I buy that.
Can't be him, officer.
Not that guy. Not extra security, Mike. No way.
I got no argument. Yeah. I'm ready.
Speaking of getting busted, Kathy and Barbara have been best friends this whole trip. A lot of references to adultery and all that stuff, but for the most part, Dan Rowan has gotten away with it until Barbara decides to have a cigarette, and Kathy tries to find a lighter and throws a Polaroid of her with Dan Rowan out.
This is the second time a Polaroid. Second time a Polaroid has caused a backlash amongst the ship. The Bob Crane Polaroid, and then this one.
Yeah, were Polaroids new in 1978? Because you're right, this is twice now.
It's twice.
Can we pause for a minute?
Yes.
Can we pause or keep rolling or whatever you guys got to do?
Yeah, give me 1 second. We can take a little break. Hold up.
I got to piss. Sorry, Michelle.
So Kathy gets caught basically by a Polaroid. As Mike said, we've now had two Polaroid related plots in the last 3 weeks. But how did you think, Michelle, how did you think Barbara's reaction was, considering she literally went from, "Oh, I've made a new friend and my husband is wonderful, he surprised me with his trip," to, "Oh, my new friend has been banging my husband and they're all liars." So
yeah, I feel like the distance between her initial reaction and them just being like, "It makes sense. It's cool. We both have a role to play in this man's life," was way too short. That was horrible. Even the way that she was like, "Oh," she first saw it, it was like, "Oh, that's you. Like, look at this. Look at this beautiful picture of my new friend." And then is that, oh God, like, it was horrible.
Polaroids aren't that big. You can probably catch both people when you take a glance at it.
But the layered realization, though, was very impactful for her to then just be like, a scene later, "All right, bestie, let's go to the masquerade ball."
Yeah. That was disturbing. The ending was disturbing. It was all horrible to that poor wife.
Yeah.
I feel like that picture was planted.
No, I think she did it on purpose too.
Right. It was purposeful.
Yeah.
Kathy?
Kathy was the
mystery.
Because she knew it was over with Dan Rowan and she wanted to just.
And she was trying to come clean with her new bestie. And plus, they're probably going to do more fabric deals down the line.
She want to get that right.
One can only assume.
That's the unspoken thing, is this is a business transaction.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. She did crazy things with her fabrics.
So Kathy, and we can kind of lump all the, well, we'll get to the masquerade bar, but Kathy basically tries to assure Barbara that, it meant nothing to her, and she, Alan really loves Barbara, and that she has a way to prove it.
Yeah. Can I interject real quick?
Back to the masquerade ball.
Can I say something? Do you remember why he was forced to cheat on his wife? Because his wife wanted a career.
Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah,
he
wasn't going with him on all of his business.
Yeah, let's get into this now, because this is where every episode that has some sort of adultery in it on the Love Boat,
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's always about, I'm too busy. I was too busy. It's on me. It's victim blaming by the victim much as anything.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Crazy.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
How do we get back to those?
we had a couple weeks ago, Zsa Zsa Gabor, not Zsa Zsa, the other one. Ava Gabor,
Ava, yeah.
was too busy. She was very successful, and Leslie Nielsen was like, I'm not being
Throwing himself
heard.
at her.
Let me go sex bomb somebody up in the rafters of the place you're giving a speech.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't deal with it. She was like, I'm sorry, I'm taking a vacation. Everything will be fine. No comeuppance. It's the exact same thing here. When the aforementioned marriage counselor, Richard Mulligan, found out that Loretta Swit was cheating on him with Robert Reed, her ex-husband,
Yep.
he was like, don't tell me. Don't even say anything. That was his solution to it. So there's this weird, like, victimless crime thing to an adultery. Yeah.
They even took it to, because initially it started with that work trip in New York or wherever it was. And
That's
you didn't go
right.
to that. And okay, so now we're talking about time spent. But then I don't remember exactly how it was brought up or phrased, but then it basically gets to like, were you pleasing him enough? Like, were you having sex with him? And like, she had to acknowledge, like, kind of discreet, like, yeah, maybe not. And so it was like, oh, well, that was just another role that I was serving that he'd rather you serve. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why? What?
Yeah.
What? It made
So,
me
Michelle,
so mad.
It
Michelle,
is weird to.
Michelle, as a woman, is that a friendship that will last?
I would hope not.
That's a great question.
Twisted. No,
right? Yeah, like they'll never speak again.
No,
and
but
even
they
Love
are
Boat,
going.
no, let me clarify this. In the Love Boat universe, and based on their logic, yes, I actually think it is a friendship.
There are no separations to the two logics. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I think in the real world, I cannot imagine that.
They had a previously unknown relationship prior to their meeting, and that at least their professional relationship is going to flourish after the boat, after they're done. So they are going to run into each other. I mean, I think there's hope. I think
Keep hope alive.
1980s was a decade of fabrics, if you remember.
I just feel like you get off the boat. You're in this whole, you're on a cruise. Like, the fashion is undeniable. You're just letting your cares go in the ocean breeze. But then you get back to reality, and at some point you think it's a good idea to grab dinner with your husband and his ex-mistress because you're all just friends, you're all palling around. And I feel like in the off the boat, I think at some point you would question,
especially like that's a third drink of the night problem. Like there's some truth. There's some truth that's going to come out at that point. So.
Off the boat, there's going to be a murder suicide. Like, no question. No question. Yeah.
I wonder if we'll ever will we have a death on the boat? We're talking like a murder suicide. I wonder if we'll ever have something that tragic on the boat.
Ooh.
Not murder suicide, but like
I mean, just murder or death, or maybe not like murder, but death. Yeah, just
like an old.
Away.
Yeah.
Like a guy that looks like Santa Claus on Christmas Eve.
It happens on cruises. It's very common on cruises that
that's
people
pretty
die.
heavy though.
So
the ice cream, we talked about that.
Yeah, I would say the odds of 1 in 250 episodes are probably pretty good. They're going to run out of ideas. I mean, they've gone to orphans like 30 times already. So
first season, and Michelle Lee.
Before we get to the masquerade ball, Michelle, I know you wanted to hit on this. So the Steve Jenny thing. Steve, as we said earlier, ended up dumping his fiance in Puerto Vallarta, and he comes back to kind of confront Jenny with his love and say, I dumped my fiance. I'm here with you. And then Michelle, why don't you pick up the absolute garbage move that Steve does here?
So Jenny's just like, I don't care what you have to say. This whole thing was based on a lie. I don't want to have it. Get out of my room, which was her prerogative to do. And what does he do? He makes the motion of shutting the door, and then he stands there in silence and he waits like a predator to catch her reaction of tears.
What a scumbag.
That's the worst thing to do to a blind person.
That's what it's.
I think
terrible.
pushing him off the boat would be the worst thing. You
But
know,
it's
like-
up there.
The
It's
boat is up there. I mean,
Yeah, but they
so-
can swim.
it is seriously like it is a sociopathic power move. Like you are
Yeah.
saying, like I have the
It was
ability to
narcissistic,
manipulate and
man.
control this situation, and there's
and
nothing
it's
you can do
worse
about
because
it.
he was blind, so he knows the other
He
side.
No,
knows.
and but
Right.
what about the fact that you're three of you are missing? He was right. God, move on. Jesus. He
And
was
she called it
correct
a
in his
cheap-
assumption.
She called it a cheap trick.
The
Yeah,
power of
well,
love.
And then
It is a
doesn't-
cheap trick. That is a
doesn't she
cheap trick.
half-ass it? She tries to do the same thing, but it's cute when she does it because she's a little blind mouse. He was correct. Fine.
No,
Well, not to-
no. You
not to
can't
agree with
do
Dan.
that.
But he
You-
was. He ended up being correct because
Right.
he buys her a million roses in the other place, Casa San Luca, and she goes to his room, and basically they get together and they're going to get married. So it all
Wait,
worked
and
out. in the
pause.
end.
No.
It's a
no,
revisit
no.
of Dan's favorite
No, no,
quote.
no.
What
You're,
did the
you're
roses
missing it.
symbolize?
Listen,
What did the roses symbolize? Love is blind?
She said that roses mean he doesn't really care if I walk into walls.
Ah, you're right. Yeah.
They
yeah.
went to walk into walls like 50 times, by the way. They said that a lot.
and here,
It's a good metaphor, though. You know, that's
Listen.
what love is. You're walking in the walls constantly. You're trying to
This-
see yourself. And
By the
walls
way,
are there.
as
We-
a blind
we can-
person, you more shoulder a wall. You don't walk flat into a wall like that.
I just
Right.
like,
but when you're in love and love is blind, you do walk head first, face first into walls. The walls
Let me
are
just-
I'm not gonna walk
Yeah.
into any walls.
just saying.
I'll say this about her, like, even though she, like, I understand, like, aside from sight or lack of sight, whatever, right? She was as dumb as a box of rocks because then
No.
she tried to play the, oh, I'll see you later, and I'm like, no, dummy.
It was a joke. She was just poking fun.
She wasn't joking.
She was
She
being
wasn't
fun
joking,
and
Michelle.
handsome.
She doesn't
Yes, she
understand.
was.
She wasn't
You back
joking.
off my Jenny.
She had no
No.
facial expression. She can't act. She was like this the whole time, like, You know,
no,
oh,
you're
the
off.
oldest
You're
for the
off on that.
Wonders.
No,
He's-
I
no,
disagree.
see anything.
No, no.
look, I should have ventriloquist.
And we've already
Bunny.
established
No,
how
no,
awful you
no.
are to blind people. So,
I just no, I didn't like
Yeah,
her in this.
and
role.
women.
does anyone
I mean-
have anything before we head to the masquerade ball that we have not
Oh.
touched on previous?
Did you leave the
Um,
masquerade to the end because it was the weakest part of the episode?
Pretty much.
Yes.
So,
Except for
know-
Isaac. Isaac had a great line, which
Yeah.
you could see on my screen. It's my favorite part.
The
I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, we see the honky rabbit.
oh.
Yeah, that's the greatest line in this episode. And I think it was one of his like 3 lines.
yeah, Isaac did not get a lot of run.
He
in
had
this
no room
episode.
for him on this show. The
Weird.
the following episode, Isaac Heavy, my friend.
And the previous episode was too. So maybe that's why. You know,
Yeah.
I thought it was sort
He-
of Julie Light as well. She
it was
didn't
actually
have a
crew.
lot
It was
going on.
really crew light for the
Yeah.
most
Mhm.
part.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
The
Chelsea.
only 2 things just in that I wanted to give honorable mention to before we get past the timing of it is when Jenny, despite all of her wise statements and dramatic statements throughout the episode, uses the term "uggo" twice
Yeah. Yeah.
in a
Oh,
conversation, which I
Okay.
thought was
That's funny.
hilarious. It
I guess we stole it
came
from
out
her.
of nowhere.
I
Yeah.
thought I invented that term.
Yeah.
So nope, dates back to Jenny, a real uggo. And the other thing, we haven't talked about the Hollywood couple very much, but can we please address the fight scene when she's like, "This is fighting," and she rips his,
Rips
Oh,
a
it's great.
shirt.
That's great.
rips
That
his
was
shirt
messed
and
up.
walks away.
Thank God there's 2 fabric designers on board that could fix that immediately.
Or thank God for his consistent tan. His
Yeah.
shoulders,
Shit.
inside of his shoulders were chestnut.
It was
Good
pretty
Lord,
funny that he was pushing for her to read the script, and then it turned out that it was his entire thing. Like
Yeah.
he was going to be the lead. He wrote it. He's
Yeah.
going to direct it. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was just such an
But yeah, there wasn't a lot
unnecessary scene.
there. It was just like
No.
Michelle Lee was awesome, and Fernando Lamas sounds amazing. And I did like the scene when him and Dan Rome were at the bar with those eye openers.
Drinking eye openers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Just
Although,
didn't give a shit.
Fernando Lamas did the thing that we always talk about in shows where he ordered this drink, Isaac makes it for him, puts it down, and he never drinks it. He just leaves immediately. So,
Well, he
Okay.
did his little dialogue and he moved on.
now, let's go to the masquerade.
Oof.
So the first rule of a masquerade ball is masks. No
By
one has a mask.
definition.
On.
Rule 1.
No one has a mask on in.
I was
in this
so
thing.
mad about it.
Yeah.
It should have been a makeup ball or makeup parade ball.
Not a
So,
mask
Mike-
to be seen.
Mike, we assume because everyone had elaborate costumes that this was known before they set sail that this is a masquerade ball theme.
Another
Makes
thing
sense.
to pack. Your
Makes
sense.
entire
Good
little
Marie
itinerary,
Antoinette
sure.
costume.
That
Jesus
makes it
Christ.
worse. If it was like, oh, and here's the activity agenda of this cruise, masquerade ball, and nobody brought a mask or anything that you would think of when you think of a masquerade ball, everyone just approached it like a Halloween party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, masquerade ball is just a fancy Halloween party, right?
Halloween party. Like Halloween in January. Ooh,
I
pretty disappointing.
I don't know why you wouldn't pack like I used to pack for Halloween things, right? You just get like a priest collar, you stick it in your pocket when you're done. That's it. Like these people are bringing out big old costumes.
But
Good
not a
for them,
mask.
I guess.
Marie
Because
Antoinette.
again, when I was reminded, because I know in the start of the episode, like one of the titles was Masquerade, but I kind of forgot about it. So when they re-announced the Masquerade, I was like, oh, that's totally how these two ladies are going to come together to out. Like I just saw it because they're going to be masked and whatever. Except then they get to the Masquerade ball and you see everybody's faces.
So let's talk about the two ladies' plan. So there's three things that happen at the masquerade ball. Really, they all kind of wrap up the plots. But the one we've been talking about is so Kathy and Barbara are going to basically scheme to get Alan to admit or whatever to Barbara how he really feels, because I guess Barbara wasn't going to believe Kathy's word for it. So they're walking down the hallway initially, and Alan is dressed as Blue Dracula. Was that a thing?
It made no
No.
sense with his
No.
those
It's
stupid
never been a thing.
fangs were terrible.
Like, let me also paint my face blue. Like, was the collar too
No
tight? That was
sense.
weird.
I don't know what that
Um,
was.
And
It might- it
Barbara's
might
dressed
just
as
be
Marie
film
Antoinette.
deterioration Too, you know,
He was like frozen Dracula.
could just be like it could have been like grease paint from the 70s that didn't transfer to the digital age too well. So we're looking
why-
at it as blue.
was
Why would
very
you even
blue.
wear makeup?
He
You would
looked
wear
like
white
that
'cause
woman who
Dracula-
ate all
he's-
that
he's
metal.
Foolish. Dracula is.
Fair enough.
He has a pallor about him.
My
He looked like
Dracula doesn't
Mother-
have gray skin. My
he looked like
Dracula
Mother
has
Earth
pale
at the
white
end.
skin. That's what to me Dracula looks like. Like that's what like goth kids look like, right? That's kind of what I think Dracula looks like. You don't see goth kids
So-
with
I'm questioning everything now.
So Barbara's dressed as Marie Antoinette. She does the move where she's like, "Oh, I forgot my purse," and has to run back. And that's when they're going to do the switcheroo. So Kathy is dressed as basically a Marcel Marceau mime clown. Tells Alan to go meet her.
Yeah.
So two questions here. A, she obviously packed the Marie Antoinette outfit,
An
right?
elaborate
one
elaborate
packed two of 'em.
costume.
maybe if she had packed a backup.
But she's in no way packed the clown outfit. And I'm guessing since Kathy was saying she
Do
was
you
going
think
to
she designed the fabric?
So you think she made two clown outfits and the
Yes.
paint?
Yes. And
Mm.
the paint.
No, because they're never seen together. They're never seen wearing the clown outfit.
Yes,
at
they
the same
are.
time.
Oh.
Yes, they are.
No, I don't
When?
think they are.
Yes, they are. When Alan first gets to the bar and he meets, it is Kathy. He's like, "Oh, hi, Kathy," and then she runs away, and they do a switch in the hallway, and she's like, "Did it work?" And they're like, "Yeah." and they go-
yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember
The,
that.
Yeah.
the face paint for the clown was intricate too. It was white, black,
Yeah.
and white.
Yeah,
That would
It
have
was
taken
crazy.
some time.
It was
it's
crazy.
Right.
intense.
But I
So-
still think they just designed the outfit. They probably had fabric swatches
You're
laying
right.
around their room.
They are fabric
That
designers. If
actually-
anybody
that actually
pull them
does-
off on the
That
fly,
actually does cover it. Yeah, I know. Plot hole filled with fabric.
Yeah.
Box
Long
check.
story short, Alan ends up telling Barbara all the things that he really feels, thinking he's telling Kathy. Barbara is then, swayed by all his admission of guilt, and
Oh,
that's it. Everything's fine.
disgusting.
Oh,
What
strap
a weird, unflattering costume to be wearing. To
So
have it be
strange.
revealed that your cheating husband actually loves you, and you're
Yeah.
just wearing this like dumpy clown suit.
Yep.
Also, he kind of loves her. He doesn't really know who she is. He doesn't know how to talk to her. Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he says he loves her, but he's like, I don't even.
Yeah.
know.
As
We've
a,
been married for, and I don't know how to talk to her.
As a couple who's been married for 7 years, it was weird to hear someone talk about how hard it is to know somebody when you've been married to them for 7 years.
mean,
As we're watching, I mean, I'm pretty sure I know my wife because she sat there and watched 2 hours of The Love Boat. So
Right, but because you're not spending all your free time banging your whore. That's why you know Michelle. You take the time to know Michelle because you're not out running around being terrible. At least
no
I
blue,
hope so.
no blue Dracula over here.
Yeah,
But that
Mhm.
basically
So-
puts a. They'll show up in the epilogue, but that basically puts a period on Masquerade, that storyline.
What about no. What about Isaac's terrible joke? That was
No.
the highlight.
Masquerade, the storyline was the actual
the
three-way,
storyline.
not the Masquerade Ball, sir. There's plenty left for that.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, so the crew is all into it. Isaac is a bunny. Gopher is
What is Gopher?
Wet. His hair was all wet.
some sort of like Lothario, I guess.
Oh no,
Yeah,
he was
like
what's his name? Valentino. The
Okay, he was
former
Valentino.
actor. The
Yeah.
notorious lover.
Why didn't he have like
Doc-
a pencil mustache? His hair, his hair was just wet.
Because he's fucking Gopher, dude. Like he's not putting
Doc-
any money or time into this shit whatsoever. You know.
Doc is Prince Charming, Julie is Cleopatra, and Stubing is
Looking good, by the way. Mm-hmm. Stubing was
homeless.
I don't know.
No,
Who?
King. He was King Henry VIII.
Oh,
Was he?
That's
oh,
what
Henry
I
VIII.
assumed.
I am.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't.
'Cause
It wasn't
he had the
clear.
beard, and he was like, "Your Highness, you don't have to call me," or something like that. Or tonight you have to call me Your Highness or something.
Well, whatever. Stubing comes over. Everybody's talking, and Dan. This is when Isaac does this whole bit about the honky bunny, because is that's to Fernando Lamas, right? Fernando Lamas is like, if I had too many drinks, are you a giant bunny rabbit?
Yeah. And he goes, "No, I'm a gigantic bunny." But then Gopher says something, and he says, "You know what we call him? The honky rabbit." And
Yep.
I was like, "What in the world? What?" I don't know.
Isaac
This
did a
shit-
lot with a little this week. He actually
Yeah.
was really good in everything he was in. They just didn't put him in anything.
They just don't give him a lot. But it's
Yeah.
odd. I feel like
They
I
do.
prefer Isaac in small doses, because
Well,
I
you're
wouldn't
not
say
gonna
that
like
I love
Texas
the. I think a little Isaac goes the long way because he's so effective. Like he's so economic. His
Yeah.
presence on screen is so economic. He does such a good job with that.
So we can go two ways here. So plan D
Oh
There's
shoot!
Is-
still
is a
parts of the
smack-
key
Forgot about these.
it's a smash and grab.
smashing out.
Turn
So
off
they're
the
going to
light.
turn the lights off at 11 o'clock. They're just going to grab the
Just grab it.
necklace.
Because you're on a boat.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, you pack the drills. You make the mask. You go through an air duct, and here you are. You're just
Just
gonna
flip a
punch
switch.
this lady in the chest and grab her jewelry.
Well, you don't
That's it.
even need
A teenager at the gallery in
you don't even
1980s.
need you don't even need Taffy, unless
Yeah.
she's
No.
the one hitting the lights.
Right. So
Anybody
You
can
could-
like,
You just need
so
oxygen.
they do hit the lights. They all go walk over together real non-conspicuously. They hit the lights, but at the same time, Stubing's like, "Wait a minute! I told everyone they need to guard people."
yeah.
And so he goes over to kind of stand in front of them. The lights go out. Stubing yells something like,
Well, he's got that-
"Engineer, this is the captain. Turn the like." Does he have a walkie-talkie?
There's something. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't remember.
That
He
was
says
weird, right?
something.
He was
Yeah.
trying to establish chain of command.
Yeah, they couldn't figure out how to get the damn lights back.
But it's
on.
like an engineer like sitting there like, oh, better turn the lights on.
He's just
Yeah.
Steve's always
What do
listening.
I do? I have to wait for the captain. I'm sitting in the
Mhm.
dark. Wait
Yeah.
till the captain.
Yep.
tells me to do it.
It was
I
just,
got
you're not Bill Shatner. That was weird.
Yeah,
Anyway, they grabbed the wrong thing. They grabbed Stubing's costume medallion. Wah wah.
I'm
So
beginning
plan
to
B.
think this group
Yeah,
is
love it.
inept.
love the
Yeah.
wah wah.
Yeah.
They're great. They're like the the wet bandits. They're great.
Gang who couldn't shoot straight. Yeah. So that was the last plan that we saw. Plan D.
Thank God.
Amazing.
But
Thank
the big story here in the Masquerade Ball was Jenny and her wonderful ears. So Roz and Bill are talking about rich people stuff.
Oh
I'm going
God,
to buy you this. I'm going to buy you that. Money is great. Isn't money great?
money rules.
Jenny's
Yeah.
just kind of sitting there quietly and she's listening. And for a
Like
second,
Daredevil.
I'm like, I couldn't figure out where they were going. Because like earlier she had walked in on the crooks. And I'm like, is Jenny like going to like Sherlock this whole thing or whatever?
No.
Somebody's
No,
going to
she's
take
just moving
Jenny
the
out.
plot
That's what's going
forward,
to happen.
man. That's all she's
Yeah.
doing.
Turns out she's just like, you know what, Steve? Let's not be gross rich people like those gross rich people.
Yeah.
She
And
said,
in
I
a
just
party-
heard the saddest thing in the world.
Promise me it's not going to be about money. And Steve's like,
Right.
not on my fucking salary. Shit.
I
bitch.
work at Wawa, Steve. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if
I
if but
feel
if your
cigarette.
hearing, if her hearing is that good, then how does she have zero awareness of how loud she's talking?
Well,
It
but
doesn't
that's
even
my
match
question: is
up.
how loud is
Blah,
this
blah,
party? How loud is this party? Because Bill and Roz, who don't listen to anybody except themselves, can hear this to the point where they're just like,
Well, they're
You know.
sitting right next to each other.
It's the next
I
Yeah.
mean, it was
Right
a bold
next to each other.
assumption of Jenny to just assume that because she didn't hear this conversation anymore, that they must have like moved on, I guess was the leap that she was taking, but they were sitting right next to each other.
Can we assume
Oh.
that there's no way that those two couples would be sitting together at
No.
well,
dinner?
that's the
being
point about the
like,
economics of the
honey?
boat, though. They
Yeah, the
would.
melting
right.
pot.
Unless-
Bring me
the
your tired,
socialist
your
melting
bored,
get
your
out
huddled
of here.
masses.
Get out of here. That it's the capitalism boat. I'm telling you what, if I'm a movie star and I'm sitting next to some poors, we need to
But-
separate this or something.
Well,
we need
maybe
like
they
a
were on their
buffer
way.
table.
Maybe they were on their way to private seating. They heard what Jenny said, and they said, "You know what? Let's be amongst the common people. We're
I'm
not
just
stars. It's empty. We should
you
be
can't
amongst,
be amongst the
the
common
blind
people
and the sick."
when you have a giant
The
diamond
blue,
around your
the blue
neck.
Draculas.
It doesn't add up.
But this is the magic of the love boat.
Right.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
General
magic.
admission
It's got-
seating. The magic
Yeah.
of the love boats.
Yeah.
Ugh. Communal dining. Oh,
Ugh.
that's the-
What is this? Dutch
oh.
Wonderland? Am I right? All right.
So Roz goes over to Gopher and Doc and asks, "Who's that girl at the table?" And for a second, I was like, "Have her killed." I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Bring me
but
her
Doc
head.
basically is like, "She's a great girl. Shame she's blind," and that was the end of it. And then that set up Michelle Lee for one of like 5 at the end where it's like, well, it turns out she can see better than all of us, and it's just a lot of that.
And then she's gonna donate money to the blind or some shit. Right.
So so ultimately the Roz and Bill go out and they throw they have the conversation. They're shook by the realness of what just happened to them. And they're like, material things don't matter. I want to throw this thing off the deck. And they throw the $1.2 million diamonds into the water right in front of the caper crew, much to their dismay.
So they knew all along that the caper crew was on to them.
You
That
think?
The caper crew was trying to steal from them.
Oh,
That
so you
was
think
not
this
going to
is
be
a
my
real FU to them?
question. I wondered if that was like a performance for them or if it was like symbolic for this point that they were trying to make about material
I guess it
possessions,
could
even though it was
be.
fake. But I think, but it could go either way. I really do
It could
think
be a
could go either
performance.
way.
I didn't consider that angle. Yeah. Because they would just
I
perform
like the
for
idea
any
that they're
crowd. It didn't
taunting
matter.
them, though.
Didn't
Maybe the
matter.
real one. Maybe the real one's still in the safe.
Well, no, it's in a bank.
No, the real one is in.
Oh, that's
their
right.
bank
I'm just
account.
saying.
Yeah.
Maybe they're.
That's what they said.
We
And
fooled
also,
everyone.
what was Gopher and Doc doing under that blanket together? Beating each other off. We all know it, right? In the back. Remember? Yes, they were. Yeah,
They were just
because
waiting.
they were
that they-
because,
Nah.
no, because the woman made them all horny. They're Navy guys. They understand the touch of men in a long voyage. Blah blah blah. They're under the blanket. You know what I mean? No, nobody. Well, you can take that out and post.
It's not that kind of. It's not that kind of show, sir.
Well,
The next,
you know,
the next morning. So the next morning we have the epilogue. Barbara and Alan say goodbye to Kathy. Like we said, that's probably either the last time they all see each other, or a weird threesome. I was actually the second time I watched it. It is kind of sad though. Like they do like a lingering shot on Kathy, like behind them, and then back to it, and it is like she really ends up. I guess the caper crew ends up the most out of on down their luck, but it is kind of like that sucks. She was just trying to have an affair and have a nice boat trip, and now she's like just bummed.
well, I mean, that's on her though. She
Isn't that occupational hazard if you're
Yeah.
gonna
Probably.
behave if you're gonna
Probably.
behave in that
Yeah.
manner, like then you have
I
to
just felt
accept
bad.
I
It's
didn't
very
feel
rare
isolated.
people. It's very
Could be
rare people leave
isolated.
the love boat alone. That's all I'm
Right.
saying.
Who cries for the home breaker, the home wrecker? Mike
Yeah.
Robinson cries for the home
Just
wrecker.
No.
me.
Wow. That's great.
The
I
thieves are
know.
bummed out.
I feel great about this.
I know.
The
I
theme-
am just learning about you guys to a degree that makes me wholly uncomfortable. So
The
just wanna
thieves
put
are
that out there.
leaving. They're super bummed out because this did not go well. Shout out to Taffy, who says she'd rather be in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I saw that.
Isaac fills them in that Ox got picked up by his chauffeur
That
and was
awesome.
debating
Place
between one
to
of his
live.
3 awesome places to go. What?
Yeah.
so,
What? Yeah.
so
He's got a ranch. He
So
even
is
has a
Ox
ranch.
is Ox so dumb that he forgets he's rich and gets in these schemes, or he's just like he's eccentric? What do we think the Ox move is?
He's just
I don't know.
dumb. He's just not.
Yeah.
He's just not dumb. He's just not so aware. I would say that.
I think the crushing thing about this whole caper crew is that Harold Gould was not a good leader. He picked a bad crew. He didn't order his plans correctly. He didn't know that one of his 3 henchmen is a billionaire.
Yeah.
Like, these are
Yeah.
fundamentals. I know
Perhaps
it's
not as
pre-internet.
smart as he thinks he is.
Yeah.
He should have effectively like delegated these roles. Just be your guy. Be the guy on the ship. Hire like a Sergeant Carter type.
Or you know
Just to
what?
handle
I'm
Why
not.
couldn't- if he could dress as the captain, he could go as the captain, kill Gopher in front of people, take the jewel,
Just for
go
just
back
for
to his
sport.
room,
Look
go
what
back
I've
to his
done.
room, change, and be like, "Oh my god, I saw the captain kill Gopher." That's
Yeah, but
like,
now
that's
he gets to make a Gopher
yeah.
costume because he's going to
You don't
take
even-
the remnants of Gopher.
Well,
you don't
here's the
need
thing: you
3 other
don't have to
people,
be a great heist guy. You could be a master of disguise. That's what
Yeah.
he's best at.
Yeah. But you don't need a whole crew, is what I'm saying.
No.
You could have just
Especially when you're a master
strolled
of
in
disguise.
there
Yeah.
with your.
I hope he comes
Basket
back
of-
to character because I'd love to see him like, oh, he's doing Gopher now. Oh, he's doing this person just to see hijinks. Hashtag hijinks.
And then they wrap up. We've kind of alluded to it that Bill and Roz are now normal. Explains that the diamonds were fake to Stubing, and they're going to sell it to charity, and then they'll donate to charity.
Yeah.
And apparently, they only know of one charity, which is the School for the Blind. And they look over longingly at Jenny and Steve, who have really reset a Hollywood couple's life. Here's the thing: just give Jenny the money,
Yeah.
Directly.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Like
And then
let
maybe
Jenny
she
can
donate
get
it.
She can get an operation that Steve got. You know,
Yeah.
there you go.
100% right there. Plus, they're gonna have to pay off these drug lords that Steve stiffed. So this is
He took all the cocaine out of his butt and put roses in. Yeah, they're gonna be pissed.
yeah, he took all that drug money and bought
Yeah.
all his flowers. So
That's
Just
right.
took millions of dollars worth of drug
Yeah.
money and
It's a
bought roses.
bittersweet journey. Bittersweet journey for Steve.
And that is it. So King of the Mountain, Mike, I don't think we can fairly judge this as a regular episode.
No, I agree. I think this is I think maybe we should file this for, to kind of
two-parters have their
evaluate
own
against right
category.
TV
Yeah.
movies, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fair to. It's too much material to.
Would you
compare
have
to
it
the
as
rest
like
of it.
a, do you think of it like, did you like it though? Is it like a top episode?
I thought it was really good. Now looking
I thought-
back, there were definitely some parts that they were padding out, but they kept those pretty isolated. But I thought it was really good. I do think it has an unfair advantage of having like 15 people in it. But I thought
yeah,
it
I
was pretty
agree.
good.
I agree. I
It
like the
moved.
heist. I thought the heist moved. I thought it all moved. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
There's always a storyline I'm really, and that was kind of the Steve. I could care less.
Really?
Like they always have some sappy sort of thing, and I don't know. And then all I could think about is like, is Desi Arnaz famous because he's famous, or is he famous because of who his parents are? Because his acting chops were not. He was not the
I
actor
thought he got
that I would
worse as it
expect.
went on.
Yeah, it
I
was
thought he
bad,
was
man.
good in the beginning, and then it just got slowly worse.
That
I
Two
don't know why.
Sunsets line, I was just like, even if
Well, they
it's
were-
a written line, the line itself wasn't good, but the delivery, I was just like, this guy's just not a good actor. I would expect more for somebody who's driving a storyline, especially the storyline with only two people. I feel like the bar is higher. Like, you better come correct, Desi Arnaz Jr.
Dan, what were your overall thoughts about the quality of the episode?
I liked it. It was okay. I enjoyed Desi and the blind girl. I did.
Mhm.
I thought a majority. I mean, he did it. There were a few creepy moments, but I think a majority of it was cute.
Yeah, I
it was
liked
just
it too.
two love struck kids. The caper I thought went on way too long. The fact that we were on Plan D after a while, it was just, to me, like, they were trying to capture that old screwball Hollywood comedy routines, and I get it. Like, I've watched movies like that, but like it just went on way too long, and it was like, after a while, you're like, Jesus Christ, man, just end it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it. I liked the cute couple. I thought that was the highlight of the episode for me. The actors were, I don't know, it was kind of funny. They were oddly charming in a horrible way.
Yeah.
So, I think the low point would have, and Masquerade is part of this. Masquerade would be.
So Masquerade is considered the threesome, basically, the affair couple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah,
confusing. But yeah.
The way they treated that wife, to me, is just unforgivable and horrid. And the fact that she left with her horrible husband at the end and everything was forgiven. I don't know. I think that's the worst. So I don't know. I guess I just love young love and hate treachery. So
Yeah.
I think Masquerade's the bottom of the barrel for me.
Shells.
Man, I actually am like lockstep with you, Dan.
Thank you.
I
Weird.
love, and I also hate treachery, I guess.
go.
And then, yeah, the capers just fine, probably a little long, but fine in the middle. But in general, I didn't know what to expect from, like I said, I think I've sat through one normal length episode. I didn't know how it was going to feel watching the two-parter. I felt like it was an entertaining hour and a half or whatever it ended up being, by and large. I liked it.
I agree.
I think it was an hour and 40.
Yeah,
and 40.
it was. But it moved. Yeah. Okay. We kind of hinted on some of this, but let's go with Captain of the Week. So this is basically your best performance or whatever it would be. Who was the best this week? Shells, you want to go first?
I'm Team Jenny. She's my girl. I really liked her. I thought it was a good performance. I liked her character. I've said some of this already, but I was, first of all, she was like the only name I remembered, probably because she is blind and people were always addressing her by name. So I felt like I really knew who Jenny was. And I liked her perspective. And I think I said this earlier, but everybody up to the end kept trying to really treat her like a charity case, but she really wasn't looking to be treated like a charity case. She was there vibing on her own. And I liked Jenny a lot. And I thought that the performance in particular was really good. And for the storyline that she got, or the amount of time that she got, it was like a relatively fleshed out character. I don't know. There was some depth there. I liked it.
Wow.
Dan, Captain of the Week for you.
Controversially, because I hate him as a person, it's Rowan's character, just because of his wardrobe, and when he couldn't find anyone to play ping pong with him. He said, I'm going to go off and play ping ping by myself. Throwaway line, indeed, but I loved it. And I just loved that man's wardrobe. And he was a horrible, despicable character, blah, blah, blah. But like, man, that wardrobe was on point the entire episode. So,
Mike,
I say for me it was Larry Storch. Although he didn't have many lines, I enjoyed. He obviously took it seriously, and I appreciate that. So yeah, Larry Storch. I felt like he was into it. I like that, and I'm just a Larry Storch fan. So.
I also had Dan Rowan. As I said, I'm a very big fan, but since Dan did pick Dan Rowan, I'm going to go with Karen Valentine, who played Taffy. And that is mainly because I get the impression that it's very against type. And she played a good bimbo. And, she was in a lot of this show. And, that can be kind of a garbage role. So I'll go off board here and go with Taffy.
Okay.
Walk the plank. So this is the worst of the week. Michael.
Was not a fan of Alan, man. I thought that just the lack of stepping up. I just thought, I don't know. Again, I felt so bad for her, and I just kind of that just translated into just disdain for his character in general.
Dan,
Can I
worst.
piggyback?
Oh, good. Yeah.
I was only going to say, because I was also co-signing, that was also my decision, which as I was hearing you all talk about like how this guy has a whole entity outside of this episode that maybe I would have gotten it for more, but Alan is also to me because he was just, his character wasn't worthy of it. Like there was nothing worthy about that guy that warranted any of the attention or affections or whatever that he was getting. And didn't do it for me. He's out, walked the plank.
An absolute split. How about that? 2-2 for Dan Rowan. Dan, do you have a walk the plank that we haven't brought up?
It's oddly enough, it's Dan Rowan. Yeah, best and worst. I hope this is the first. I hope it's the first time
it is. It absolutely is. Well, no, Ray Bolger. Worst. I think Ray Bolger got it from both of us. Yeah. So.
Yeah, he's just a horrible, horrible character, and I wish he died en route. So it's en route to home. I wish he got the plague or something. Yeah, terrible what they did to that woman. It's unforgivable.
I'm gonna go, and I'm a huge Sting fan. I'm a huge Harold Gould fan. I'm a huge Caper fan. That ended up being a little disappointing. I wanted that to be a lot more. And like we all said, it was kind of a little too long and all that. So I'm gonna give it to the Caper crew. Although Larry Storch was actually really good, I was a little disappointed in the Caper crew overall. So that's my walk the plank.
Sounds good.
Plugs.
You can find us on Instagram at Love Boat Project. We have a Facebook group, Love Boat Project. You can reach out to us at loveboatproject@gmail.com. And then a quick question for you, Mike. What do Dick Van Patten, Vicki Lawrence, and Scatman Crothers have in common?
Oh, I feel like Dan could answer that pretty well since he accidentally watched that episode.
Episode 16, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 16.
I hope Mama makes an appearance.
Oh,
Dick Van Patten. He has the most painful comb over in the history of Hollywood. It's like there's not enough hair on the side for him to even do it. It hurts to look at, man. Ooh.
Well, if that doesn't get you to tune in next week, nothing will. So thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Mike, as always, for joining us for episode 15. We'll see you next week with episode 16. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Peace.